It'll be fine. And what is with Intrepid's installer? Intrepid's installer could be the worst ever installer that I've ever seen. Like, I've been installing for 23 minutes and it's not even done downloading yet. Like, I install games that are 50 gig games and it drags. Their installer is so terrible. It lags my entire network. So if you see some encoding stuff right now, it's networked drop frames. It's an open alpha right now. No, it's not an open alpha. They have so few people testing the game that they're down to one server in each region. And they supposedly have 100,000 people with Alpha 2 access. Now, I don't mind if you need to turn around and you say, we missed the mark and we apologize. But when you start shaping it, like, I will say I'm a little upset about one thing with the whole narc situation. And the only thing I'm upset about with the whole narc situation is that everybody keeps saying since narc left, there hasn't been a good, but narc wasn't the one saying all these problems 7 years ago. Every single problem Intrepid Studios faces right now, they had in APOC. They had in Alpha Zero. Your installer is total garbage. It should not take this long to download when, and I'm not joking, I download 100 gig games in less than half the time. Now, I know that when I download Final Fantasy XIV, I know that they throttle the download from their download servers, and that's fine, but this installer, like, why are you downloading the entire build every time? And somebody's going to say, well, how do you know it's downloading the entire build? Well, I've had this set downloading now for 26 minutes and I don't have the download finished yet. And just so we're clear, there's nobody else home right now. There's no kids. I went into the router. I dumped everything. I kicked everything off to say, make a clean connection, because I had this problem the last 2 days. I've been trying to install this. I kicked every other device off my network. The only two devices on my network right now are both my computers. And I have gig connection. So if I'm downloading at 100 MB per second, and I've been downloading for 26 minutes, what the hell all are you downloading to my computer? The Library of Congress? Yeah, it's been a while. You've gotten busy with your thesis. What's your thesis on? And what subject? But because I guess it has to be about 150 gig package. And so why are you downloading 150 gigs every time? Don't you have a build engineer that can build a patch? Or is this going to be, and there is a company out there that has this problem sometimes, and I get it. Occasionally you need to download a full build. I made a character the other day. I wanted to make sure that before I went live today, I could say that I had made a character all the way through so that if I had to download after a patch or something, I could critique the patch. It should not take 27 minutes to patch anything. So that's my first piece of feedback. This is the same problem you had with APOC, where people had to go in and manually remove files. So you in 7 years, 5 years, how many years has it been? 7 years. In 7 years, you haven't hired a build engineer for your installer to work like every other game's installer. Now, if it was on Steam and a game in testing on Steam talking to the developer at Eternal Tombs, he did say that when you build on Steam, you have to download the whole package because programmer reasons I don't remember and I don't have at the tip of my fingers right now. And I get that, but we're not going through Steam. You're measuring access, utilization, and satisfaction, a quantitative analysis of government social services for persons with disabilities in. That's a great thesis. Just so I stop you from getting a black eye further down the thesis process, has your thesis board approved you to do a single location study, or do you have to do a compare and contrast study with a similar size location in the same county, state, metropolitan region? Make sure that they're going to allow you to do a single case study and not a cross comparative. But if you're that far along in your thesis, I'm sure you already talked to your thesis board. That's actually one of the things I got kicked in the teeth for on my master's, because I hadn't compared enough schools. I thought I had, but I hadn't. Well, I had compared enough schools. I hadn't compared enough schools downstate. So yeah, as we wait here, okay. Yes, I have checked my net speed before and during the download. It goes to shit. Like right now, the download is complete and I've stopped dropping frames. Because when I have OBS open, so that everybody knows what the OBS stats panel looks like. The OBS stats panel will tell you what's going on. And the only time I ever have network frames lost is when I'm installing a game. And if I'm sorry, not when I'm installing a game, when I'm installing Ashes. Ashes is because I constantly forget to upload or update. What's that goofy ass game I play? Once Human. I constantly forget to update that when I start downloading. Oh, okay. There you go. Make sure then you talk to them and make sure that they're going to be okay with you only studying one place. I bet you they're going to tell you that you have to study two. But they might not. It all depends. All right. So 30 minutes to download. Yeah, it says I have dropped frames. Network dropped frames. While I was streaming, I had networked drop frames. Okay. I do not need Once Human. There we go. So let us. Oh, I forgot to do one thing because I was waiting for the install. Is Ashes of Creation good? Now let's find out. Oh, it's compiling all my shaders. That's good. It's at 100%, but it's still compiling. I don't know why your bar says 100% if you're still compiling. And I know this is a nitpicky thing to say, but if your bar says 100%, but you're still compiling, why is the bar at 100% while you're still working? Yeah, when you showed Glimpse before, it said 0 with the bar halfway. Yeah. Certain individuals are susceptible and may experience seizures, blackouts, or other epileptic symptoms. Thanks for letting me know. I have a bottle of pills here somewhere. Oh, there they are. Press any key. Where the fuck's the any key? I'm gonna start at the anvil because that's their new thing. We're gonna look at the new thing. All right. Character creation. Don't forget it's still an alpha game. Really? It's been in development longer than titles that have launched. I'm not going to forgive it being an alpha game. I won't do that right now, Magistone, because my name is all over my windows, so I will look at that later. Uh, it's been 8 years. No, it's actually been 9 years. It was my birthday, 2016. It's been in development since December of 2015. Depending on how stringent you want to be about when did development start, it started in December of 2015 when they hired their first employee. Because if you're going to claim we have a 4,000 page game design document for years and years and years, then when were you writing that game design document? All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're missing the Renkai and we're missing the Talnar. No, I'm not. Rad, dude, I don't need your fucking help. Just so we're clear, I do not need the Google expert to try to help me diagnose anything. I don't even want you to attempt a backseat for me. I'm good, thanks. I know what the problem is. I literally told you what the problem is. Stop trying to solve my problem for me. Thanks. Good. If you want to be useful, go fetch me a cold soda. 2017 was the crowdfunding. Right, absolutely. And remember, 2017 was the crowdfunding, and Steven, up until the bricks started falling on his head, said if I was a betting man, bet its release before 2020 will happen. There has now been more time since 2020 than there was before. There is 2 times the amount of time before 2020. So when somebody comes in and they tell me, remember that it's an alpha, no thank you. I won't remember that it's an alpha. I will remember, however, that you had no problem taking everybody's money during Kickstarter and then lying about how many people you had working on the game. And if anybody needs to know that, that's on my YouTube. When the first time I interviewed Steven, I held him to task. We have 115 people working on Ashes of Creation. But what we're not telling you is 45 of them are at an art studio in Malaysia, which we later then tried to not pay, and they sued us. And then the 26 that were engineers working at Stormmancer. Or when we said we have 15 engineers working on the project, but you were counting the people at Epic Games that were working with you. So, the numbers didn't math years ago. You can watch my first interview with Steven on that. So if I want to remind people, the more weight people add to the I have to forgive Intrepid, the more weight I'm going to add on to the other side that says, no, I don't. So 9 years into development and we don't have 2 of the races. Let's see. For this character, never really been a dwarf person. Maybe we could try to look for things we actually like with the game. My other character is a Vec. I've always said that I would be a Vec. My other character is a Vec. My private, I'm going to play my own character. And I don't want to run 2 identical characters. So I think I will run a Pyre. And then we have Bard, Cleric, Fighter, Mage, Ranger, Rogue, and Tank. And so we're missing 2 of 9. We're missing 2 of 9 races. And we're missing 1 of 8 archetypes. So don't let the first thing about the character creator fool you. They do have their sculpting in. But I'm just going to say this. I thought we were on Unreal Engine 5, not Unreal Engine 4. This right here is a human with elf ears. That and that. Well, that's an elf. That's a human with tree horns. That's an elf. That's an elf. That's just a human with elf ears. Actually like that. It's a good look. We're gonna make it look like a tree. How about we're still telling Jay how he should react to the game or run his stream? I'm a little concerned, right? I'm a little concerned that a game that made itself all about character creation, that we're still only at like 4 default hairstyles. 3 default horn types. I mean, it's nice that you show off art, and you've shown off art for years, but you like made all these statements about what your character creator was going to look like. Like, why are we picking from preset colors? Why aren't we pulling up the native in Unreal Engine color wheel that allows you to put in a value? So these are questions that I would ask them about their character creator. Like, why is your character creator built in Unreal Engine 5 so much worse than Chrono Odyssey's? Chrono Odyssey started development afterwards. If you click the selected color, do you get a color wheel? No. There's no color wheel. There's no input by hex. So yeah, another game has started development after you and is going to be at launch before you, and their character creator is more robust, which would be fine. I don't think you need to have everything in the world in a character creator. But I think it's to be said that before I stopped covering Ashes 2 years ago, you had made some pretty ballsy comments about character creation, and you didn't deliver. Now, somebody's going to say, well, it's only alpha, but, well, if it's only alpha, why did you stop? Yeah, I remember people saying Ashes of Creation's character creator will be better than Black Desert Online. Yeah, it's not even close. If someone's going to then turn around and say, well, it's only an alpha, dude, it's an alpha 3. If they're alpha, or I'm sorry, it's alpha 2 phase 3. If your character creator wasn't where you wanted it to be, why did you move into public testing? Again, I don't think you need to have, like, these are all these things. Yeah, it's been years since they showcased that character creator showing off Asmongold. Wasn't Alpha 2 supposed to have all the races, all the archetypes? Ha ha ha. Here the joke's on you, my friend. Alpha 1 was supposed to have all those things. And again, if your character creator is fine, there's nothing wrong with it. If you had said, our character creator is going to be base design. And then I would have been like, cool, your character creator is going to be base design. But Chrono Odyssey, made in Unreal Engine, had an infinite more set of presets for irises, eye color. If you make a Vec, you can make the background of your eyes white, black, or red. And I could understand restricting that specific thing to races. But now, having made 2 characters, I do understand that races have their specifics for them. But why would you not lock center on the... Why would you ever be able to zoom in and not zoom in on the face? Why does that not hard lock to the body part that you're working on? But we have a selection for nail color. Okay. Nail length, nothing, because we clip our nails. As far as sculpting, this is a cool feature. I haven't seen this particular thing. Hello there. I haven't seen this particular feature in another game that I can think of, nor do I care about it. I'm sure some people do. We want to go to the hammer. And, Background. Now, I hate things. I know. It's deliberate. I hate this crap in any game. What does any of this stuff do for me? If I don't know what this stuff does at character creation, why is it in there? Your voice traveled farther than your feet ever did. As part of an envoy circle, you carried the twilight hymns of the Pyre Glades to mountain clans and riverside gatherings. Your presence brought quiet, your song brought trust. When the gate opened, the silence waited for your return. That's cool. That's awesome. What the fuck does it do in terms of relevance for my character? If it doesn't mean anything, then do what Final Fantasy has done. I'm doing great. Do what Final Fantasy does, and I think they have the little thing where it says, this doesn't matter. When you choose, I think they've made it now, and I could be wrong. I think when you choose, like, your patron god, it's like, this choice doesn't matter. Maybe they don't. Maybe it's another game I'm thinking of. If this doesn't mean anything, then make sure you annotate on the screen, it doesn't mean anything. Why isn't there stats or something like that? Exactly. It used to give stats, but people didn't like it. Right, so are we designing the horse by committee and we're going to end up with a camel? What do you mean people didn't like it? Looking for the server. Shit, did we misplace it? Oh, okay, good. There's nothing wrong with getting stats from your character background. But people that want to min-max are going to turn around and say, well, then I have to take this. I have to go this. I can't play how I want to play. Yeah, it sounds like a reputation faction thing, but you should never be making a choice in character creation if you don't understand that choice. If it has no meaning, then you shouldn't be picking it anyway. If it's there for flavor, then put that inside of the game. I think that's a sorry excuse for compensation for the lack of leveling, except some generic quests and mindless grinding. You've discovered an Ember Spring, one of many. Upon death, your nearest discovered Ember Spring becomes a revive option. Interact to a soul tether to a single Ember Spring. Upon death, your soul tethered Ember Spring becomes an additional revive option. Okay, this right here is terrible fucking design. This should not be a hint. If you're literally talking about people's respawn points, then you need to make the respawn point a quest. You need to make that so people don't show me hints when you've literally put a game-changing feature that a person could accidentally hit. Don't show me hints, and they would never know about the feature. And this isn't the first time I've said that about this game. I've said that in every iteration that had hints popping up, all the way back to Alpha Zero. I've foot stomped that and said, we need to make sure that we crawl, walk, run mechanics. If you're doing a sandbox game, even a sandbox game like 7 Days to Die has, what are the 10 things that we need the player to know? You can't get rid of me. I'm on the screen. Go through these steps. So this should be right here. There should be a little guy right here that has a quest. And then, hey, I can't let you go any further until you... And then you come over here, you bind yourself, and you move on. A bit weird that they just drop you into a large populated hub. Feels like a lot of new players will manage to get lost. I can only hope that their eventual goal is what they're going to do is there's going to be like an opening narrative, like an opening video that tells you, like an opening thing of you seeing you evacuating from Sanctus. And otherwise, you're absolutely right. If they don't go through the steps of a voiceover, which, to be honest, people would be like, well, they don't have the money to spend on that. For God's sake, man, Dynamite Studios and Fractured did still images with a voiceover narrator. It's not like that's expensive. That's a couple of $1,000s. You don't even have to pay for the art. You can have somebody with a good voice in the studio voice that narrative. Why am I here? If you notice, between character creation, and yes, I'm being overly critical, but between character creation and now, I have no idea what I just logged into. There was no opening video, and I get it, it's only Alpha 3, or else Alpha 2 Phase 3, but I hope they have a plan. This is one of the reasons why I'm not a backer or will buy Alpha 2 Access, because I don't really see any larger progression since Alpha 0.1. You're right.
Fresh through the portal from Sanctus. Good. Every new adventurer is another pair of eyes, another strong arm. Welcome to the glorious halls of Mount Dun, or what remains of its Dunsinkel glory.
Okay, this is another flaw that I thought that they had addressed, and I'm certain that they did. They originally said, "Oh no. This is right. They were gonna flavor the arrival spots, and then you split and you can go one direction or another." Why I think that's terrible is because I want to play an elf, you want to play I want to play a Vec, you want to play a Renkai, you want to play a Dunir, you want to play a Pyre. So there's going to be a natural inclination to want to go through the portal at your race's starting point so that you can get your lore. It's like how many people played EVE Online and they made a Keldari because if you built your Keldari right, you had about 2 weeks worth of extra skill points. And then they'd make a Keldari, they'd jump in a ship, they'd fly their ass to wherever they wanted to go, and they'd play there, and they'd occasionally go back to buy the skill books that they needed.
Ancestral home of all dwarven kind. Before we make any attempt to reclaim our place in Vera, we should reclaim these halls.
I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna throw a bullshit flag. Why do you... I get it, originally years ago they said you would start at your racial starting point, and then they said anybody can start anywhere. It makes no sense that as an elf, I'm getting a quest to help them. They need to neutral out. They need... This guy, this Gatewatcher Stonebeard, has to have 3 sets of dialogue. He has to have a set of dialogue for all the races other than the dwarves. He needs to have 1 set of dialogue for the one dwarves and 1 set of dialogue for the other dwarves. Why do I want to help you reclaim your spot? Yeah, I'm in a lot of places. I'm everywhere. I'm MasterCard. I'm everywhere you want to be.
Vera is our birthright. The goddess made Vera for us, and us for Vera. That is why we are here.
Exactly.
Surely you already feel the essence here, flowing through you.
What is essence? Who is the goddess? They don't come through the portal. They start at the starter camp. Steven's magical storytelling pencil was that the Tulnar are already aware of your arrival because the shield around the Underrealm came down at the same time that the Council of Swamis back in Sanctus knew that the portals would open and they could start coming through. Remember, you've literally just come through that portal. Hopefully this game is good. MMOs are kind of dead. Good luck.
Essence is the spark of
Okay, good. They cover it.
Creation in all things. It's the energy that powers this portal and all magic in all the world. If only ye could learn of it in peace. Faulty automata, grabber machines, swarming these halls have made such notions impossible.
If you're going to read me all of the dialogue verbatim, read the dialogue verbatim. And that was the first place I heard the voiceover said something that the dialogue didn't. And it's very, very easy to throw an audio file and get the audio transcription through AI. It's not expensive to do.
Aye, these ancient contraptions, forged of metal and
Yeah, that doesn't
animated
link.
by the invisible energies, carry ancient wisdom. These marvels stand as pensive sentinels, watching the ebb and flow of time, powered by the mystic force we now call essence. Mayhaps their hearts beat with the pulse of forgotten civilizations, aye, like whispers in the wind. What kept them running is a mystery, but they attack us unprovoked along with the mysterious clay dwarves.
None of what you just said was on the screen. I would also assume they started with a script. Yeah, I would assume they started with a script.
We are still piecing it together. We don't know what corrupted them and what they have been doing the last 1,000 years. Some still gig for the Dunzenkel of old. Others violently attack honest folk trying to make their way through the tunnels here. You need to get to Hammer Rest. Seek Commander Greta Ironhand on the road to the east and up the stairs. She knows the tunnels well and can guide you. Keep a keen eye on the statues and defend yourself should any of them shift a pebble.
Let's see. Interface, HUD, community, chat. So there's things. Oh, we don't automatically pick up the scroll bar? Okay. Does anybody know where chat bubbles is? Because chat bubbles are about the worst thing ever. How's it going? Oh, chat bubble. Chat. That's fucking... Is there not a way to turn off chat bubbles? Tolkien style art. I know, man. It's reminding me of Lord of the Rings Online. Regarding AI or the use of it, notice anything done or enhanced by AI usage? Yeah, their voiceovers are clearly done by AI. Here's the thing. I don't really care if a company uses AI, because AI is a tool. Like, people that are gonna, like, are they using AI? I would hope so. Because if AI can automate something for you, then use it. There's literally nothing in interface to turn off chat bubbles. It says under interface, general, HUD, nameplates. Yeah, it's when your work becomes soulless. Do you have, can you tell me the next piece down? Like where it is in interface? Because I would have assumed chat. Enable chat input. Bubble. Chat bubble? No. It's an adventure from here on out. Well, why would I think that anything that they build would work? It should be used to help get you out of rut, not become the rut itself. Remember the movie Click? No, I agree with you, but there's a lot of people that are saying, well, if you use AI at all, it's a problem. Open editor. Hey, way to steal from Final Fantasy 14. Under proximity chat. Chat. So show chat timestamps. Text colors. Visuals. Oh, well, that's... why would I expect anything to actually work well? If somebody else knows where chat bubbles are, let me know. Your fate is bound to hammer rest. Depart this chamber and take the eastward rise. Nope. If I recall correctly, you're one of those with the lifetime gameplay. I do not have lifetime. With the amount of money that they owe me, I probably would never need to pay. But no, I backed Ashes of Creation and I had my Discover loaded into Kickstarter. And then right when their Kickstarter was running was when the military shit canned me and I got my medical retirement. And I wasn't checking my personal email a lot because I was busy. I was trying to force my retirement. And I didn't realize Kickstarter didn't take Discover. So it bounced it and it had gone to spam. It wasn't until I backed Fractured about a year later, 6 months later, that I saw the email come in. So it's my own stupid fault. Where did you say? It's saying it's under social. Social menu. Oh, Jesus. Interface has a social subsection. Game options, interface. General HUD, nameplates, action. There's no social subsection. Community chat. Interface, general. That's general. Display. Window mode, resolution. Allied players, display my nameplate. Yeah. And of course, right here at the bottom of the window, we can't see the bottom of the last one because they didn't have a minimum area for down. Yep. No chat bubbles. You think that chat bubbles would be a setting right in chat, right? You think it would be like right there or right up here, show chat bubbles? Yeah, they must have changed the UI several times because what they call progress is actually just movement. The hammer guard is stretched thin, so you'll have to fight your way to Griffstone Overwatch. March on. Longbow combo attack. Are you familiar with any quests? I am not familiar with any of the damn quests because I haven't covered this game since November. What did Ashes do to make me so mad at them? Failed to deliver on any of their promises, failed to hold themselves accountable, failed to have any integrity, laugh at their player base from their own mistakes, listen to a very vocal minority of people that Steven happened to like instead of actually listening to people that was giving him real advice, lie about people that had worked on the project. Are there any other, like, do I need to go on, or are we good? Because that's just the tip of the iceberg of things about why I soured on the game. Yeah, why would you ever have an actual plan to release the game when you could live in development forever? Who designed this? Fucking bullshit. I was happy covering Ashes, and it was great years ago. It absolutely was. Because here was a guy that you actually believed was developing a game, and he actually cared. And then came the first cracks. And when you started lying in the very first year of your development, and then there's 115 people working on Ashes of Creation. Really? No, there's not. Because I've pulled your fucking financial records from these payroll protection plans. You, at no point did you ever have that many people. And when I asked you directly, you literally, when you outsource a part of your project, you do not get to claim any of the people at the outsourced place. That is a standard in business. If you outsource your marketing to me, you don't get to claim the 10 people that I pay. Those 10 people aren't your people. You get to say, we're working on this and we've outsourced our marketing to PGN. And then people can come to me and say, how many people do you have working on Intrepid Studios marketing? And I would say, that's really, it's really irrelevant. You judge it based on the product and the delivery, not on how many people are working on it. Subcontractors aren't employees. They might be working on it, but by definition, they aren't employees. Exactly. Subcontractors aren't employees. 1099 contractors and employees are who you can claim are working on your project. But when you say, oh, and it's the 26 engineers from Stormmancer, well, then why didn't you just say that Stormmancer is your engineering solution? And that's the part, that was the first part of where we were having issues. So we no longer have a tab mode and an action mode. Is that what I'm saying? You'll have to forgive me. I haven't followed this game at all. Z used to shift you between targeting modes. Does that not do that anymore? This is such a fucking dumb. Yes. Swap weapons, E. Who puts the fucking attack button as E? No shit, they're way worse now. This is... Okay, so... This combat is actually worse than Alpha Zero's. This combat is legitimately terrible. I said it years ago, and what I said was, You don't have the studio, you don't have the team, you don't have the talent to do action combat. You need to do tab combat. Even Jeffrey Bard said everybody knows how to do combat, tab combat, that's easy. Now you're going to be facing a world where Ashes of Creation is going to be competing against a game like Chrono Odyssey and like Arcade Chronicles. Well, the truth is, it won't really be facing those two games because this game isn't going to launch anytime sooner. Yeah, you wish you had something that more resembled a vertical slice. Yes, Steven said this early on, that they were going to develop the core viable product and they were going to build everything else on top of that. So what I'm gathering now is there is no action camera. Let me go back into settings, where a place where I'm not going to get eaten. I loved Chrono Odyssey. I have a video on Chrono Odyssey on my YouTube, and it's feedback from a guy that usually sucks at action combat, or a guy that usually dies in action combat, because I will never ever judge action combat in a game that only ever said it was going to be action combat, because in fairness, it's not my place. I'm grabbing the video for you. It's not my place to critique action combat, because I'm not an action combat player. But I will critique this game's combat, because this game, you said at the very beginning, was going to be hybrid. Yeah, I had a great time in the Chrono Odyssey playtest. It didn't make a lot of sense to me at first. Not everything worked out clean for me at first in the Chrono Odyssey, because the nerve pain that I have is getting worse, and the doctors can't do anything about it. All they can do is slow the degrade of my nerve pain. It's fine. I have neuropathy in my hands and my feet. It's okay. I'll live with it. So I'll never judge action combat, because that's not my lane. I'll play action combat games and I'll talk about their crafting, their questing, their cinematics, their lighting, their options. But I will not criticize the combat itself. I'm a bit astonished about Ashes. This MMO is like the most funded MMO in history. No, it's not. The only thing the most funded about Ashes of Creation is the MMORPG that raised the most money in Kickstarter.
It can make a difference.
Z works for you to change between action and tab? Okay, for me, Z is dodge. So there's a button to switch between action and tab. I searched Bubble, nothing comes up. To Douglas. Oh, by the way, if Intrepid keeps bullshitting you about economy design, every time they talk about the economy, ask them about Dr. Rocco Scandizo. Because Steven years ago said Dr. Rocco Scandizo was joining the project. I checked Rocco's LinkedIn. He doesn't even put Ashes of Creation on his LinkedIn. And then when I challenged that, oh, well, he wrote us some white papers. I can guarantee you Rocco did not design an economy that was based around glint dropping. They still haven't hired their economy guy. I know, it's kind of weird. Look under targeting. Well, it's probably... movement, targeting, cycle targets tab. Cycle targets backwards. Target nearest ally. Target of target. It's common to do the aiming thing. Oh. So it's okay. It's common to do the aiming thing, but then right or left mouse button isn't default. Use your weapon. How the fuck did... Honestly, I'm not even gonna have a who the fuck puts comma to switch camera? Stay positive. Woosah. Let's stay positive. Thank you for the follow. Let's stay positive. Weapon attack. Okay, so what's action attack then? Holy fuck. I'm not even going to be polite about it. If you're going to have a search bar in your fucking options, then it needs to bring up every... One of you smart programmer people, make sure I'm saying this right. There is no reason why the search thing up here doesn't bring up exactly what it is. If you have an ability called action attack, there is no reason why putting action attack up here in the search bar, action underscore attack, action attack no space. No, so there's no reason for that to be like this. Action camera, weapon attack. Left mouse button. Y'all see this. I'm not making this shit up. Action camera, weapon attack, left mouse button. I am in the action camera. Oh, now, okay. Why it didn't work the last time? I have no idea. Maybe I hit comma by mistake. I'll own that one if that was my mistake. I will own it. No problem owning that. Because I'm getting more and more frustrated. Oh. Hey, that's like classic 101. Mob can't change its Z elevation. Crack team of program. Oh, and it resets. Well done. Well done. Is that... Oh, no, it's not. Okay. Is the action combat better or worse than New World? Absolutely worse. Let me put it this way. I don't think you would be able to list any game where I would say the combat is worse than this. I can't tell you... like I said, I won't give you feedback about why. I will just tell you it doesn't play well. Let the action combat players tell you why. I'll tell you if we switch back out and we go to tab. I've said this since the very beginning. If you're going to be a tab target action combat hybrid game, you should not have a filler attack. Now notice I'm not going to call it a auto attack. I'm going to call it a filler attack. That thing that I do between using abilities. It should not... I get it that you want play to be engaging, but tab target players don't want to sit there and either press... They don't want to press Q 900 times. That's not what tab target players want. I'm sorry, and I don't know where... I don't know where you got the idea. Also, you notice you gained your first level and yeah, I was going to get to that. I have now gained a level, but there is absolutely no idiot light on the screen to help me with my first level. And I'm not saying you need to give people an idiot light on everything, but Crawl, Walk, Run states, hey, congratulations, you've gained a level. Boom, you've gained a level. You've gained a level. You should go talk to this person. You've gained a level. Press this button. You notice... No, there was a ding. There was a little glowing light. But since I was in the middle of combat, I didn't see it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't realize it. You didn't make the leveling readily apparent to a new player. And I know some people are going to say, well, you know, people that have played MMOs before. Really? If that's your argument, then you're a gatekeeping elitist. You have idiot notices on the left side of your screen. I do. I know that I have this one. I have this one over here. Oh. Because it never told me what to do, I was still trying to figure out how to do the other thing it told me. Now I have my idiot lights. Press E to combo attack. Each weapon... Yeah, look at that. Wait, previous. See? That's another thing. It shouldn't stack your idiot lights. Thank you. It shouldn't stack your idiot lights. It should be being idiot light, idiot light, idiot light, idiot light. Because if they're idiot lights, who are they designed for? The fucking idiots. Press 1 or left click to execute your first class skill. R to guard and block incoming attacks. You must have a shield or capable melee weapon equipped. That's why tips suck as the tutorial. Absolutely. Press left control to dodge. Except it's not left control. I haven't changed any of my buttons. So somebody at Intrepid sucks at their job. Because the tip says press left control to dodge, but the default setting was Z. Protected players have white names. Hold left alt to target and attack a protected player. What the fuck? Oh my god. It's a one button to tag protected players. Z is pretty close to left control on most keyboards. No, I would say that Z is my Z button, and then I have an Alt button, and then I have a Windows button, and then I have a Control button. And besides, it doesn't matter what's close to what. It's literally worth $100. Dude, it's not worth $5. No, it's not. But if you are going to give them money, and you haven't made your account yet, sign up with that link. Make Intrepid fund my music. Okay. Protected players have white names. Danger killing a protected player. While corrupt, you are a high-value target and marked on the minimap. You cannot unequip gear or trade with other players. If killed, you will drop additional materials and some of your valuable gear. You suffer from combat penalties that reduce your capability to deal and mitigate damage. Oh, by the way, in case anybody wasn't aware, they decided now to have rotating war-peace cycles in areas because they can't make good enough PvP that's engaging. Upon death, you will have no sanctuary at the Ember spawn. This is also stupid. It shouldn't go away. Killing additional protected players will increase your level of corruption. What? Okay. I'm also going to say this. Why are we talking about corruption 2 seconds into the game? I said this a year ago. I said it 5 years ago. I said it 7 years ago. The starter area must be hard-coded, no PvP. This starter area, even if two warring guilds stumble their ass into the starter area, this little tiny starter area needs to be no PvP at all, so that people don't load in and see their first impression of the game as people PvPing against each other. It doesn't have to be a large ring. It could be a very, very small ring. But look at what you're doing. You've bombarded me with PvP in this game, exactly like Asmongold suffered from. You have bombarded the players since they've just arrived with a shitty tutorial. Well, not even a tutorial. Shitty idiot lights on the left-hand side of the screen. And you've introduced PvP before you've introduced earning experience? Loot rights go to whoever deals the most damage. Glint is valuable currency. Because you can't actually make an economy. Leveling up boosts health, mana, and attributes. You gain a skill point. Press K to open skills. You have a class, weapon, and stamina skills. Each skill type has its own point pool. Full experience comes from kills near your level. As the gap widens, rewards shrink. No experience awarded if the enemy has 9 or more levels above yours. Okay. Skill book. Okay. This is another one of those. Why are you giving the player first of all, this is a shitty way to design your interface anyway. But why are you not, when the player opens up their skill tree and they have points, why are you not explaining them your idea? And this is what I mean. Look at my skill bar. Salvo, Mark Prey, Hunt of the Raven. Okay? Scattershot. Why is it highlighted? Do I have it? No. Are you telling me I can buy it? Oh, you are. Like, you have everything on the screen, but no explanation of how a player is supposed to know what their development looks like. Like this right here, Salvo. I don't see. So you want to be unique, you want to be different. You can't PvP before level 5 now, so you can't be grief like Asmongold was. You shouldn't be able to PvP in the starter zone, period, ever, for any reason. It's terrible game design that multiple games have already shown. You shouldn't ever be able to PvP in the starter zone. Let people crawl, walk, run. And then let the person do, and they kind of have it. Go do this, kill these things, talk to the next person. That's a good crawl, walk, run progression. But where is the fucking voice in my head telling me what these are? Oh, is this Salvo? Okay, so and I don't get it. Oh, Salvo doesn't have any improvements. Ranger abilities deal 15% additional damage. See, why do you have these things? Oh, are these going to be the things I automatically get? And I'm guessing, because I have no idea. So I don't mind if you backseat drive. I guess these are the things that I'm going to get automatically. But it would be nice if, when this popped up, if there was the inside of my head, my inner voice tutorial said, the things on the right side of your class tree are things that you will unlock automatically as your level progresses. On the left side of the screen, what you see are the things that you can do to make your character feel more like yours. And then I would say, okay, the right side are level gated, the rest is skill point unlocked. Great. Then, fuck, where does it say that? And like right here. Do the arrows to the side indicate you can only choose one of those options? I don't know. Great question. It says it in your heart. Well, my heart is missing my sushi. Guys, I couldn't finish a full 12 roll. Could only eat 9. What's going on? So yeah, can I only pick when I pick this, can I only pick one or the other? And then my next question is, where is the thing that tells me why I can't buy this? I don't see something that says level. Because I can buy that one. I can buy that one. So that's a big loss right there. They need to, this is all fucking terrible. Some miso? No, I need some sake to wash it down. But the place that I normally go for that, I got food poisoning at last year. So luckily I got 2 new stir fry places in town. I like the one place though, because they have the sake in the squeeze bottle and you open your mouth and they just spray it in. Weapon, longbow. Okay. Select a skill to unlock the settlement. 25% chance to trigger a deadly finisher that applies staggered. 25% chance to apply wounded to the target's hit. What they need to look at is they need to look at Crusader Kings 3, and after I leave this box open for amount of time, put a little turn dial in the upper right-hand part of the box so that I can cursor to it and not have to hit T. Wounded reduces the healing by 5% per stack up to a maximum of 50%. Staggered disables evasion reduced. Disable evasion reduced by 25% for 6 seconds. Duration can be extended up to 15 seconds by subsequent application. Way to throw every stat at the person at level 2. Why would you bind that to the 3 key? Oh, okay. Easy enough. Active skills are the square icons in your class tree and skill book. Don't you think that would have been a good thing to fucking pop up before I made the choice? That should have been popped up as soon as I opened the skill tree. Let me know what it is now. K, class. Why is it still... Oh, is it... Oh, because I have one weapon and one whatever left. Okay. Wounded. Great. Oh, that's my one skill point. Okay. Stamina. Reduces the stamina cost for successfully blocking an enemy attack by 25%. Regain 5 stamina upon successfully dodging an incoming attack. Gain 1% additional movement speed every second while sprinting in combat. Okay. The Hunt of the Tiger being unlocked at 0 skill. Oh yeah, and that was the thing. I specifically didn't use that. I'm back. I am back. Gain Hunt of the Raven, imbued with the spirit of a raven, accuracy increased by 10%. When Mark of the Prey is cast while the hunt is active, inflict your target with Hunt of the Raven. Evasion reduced by 25%. So, you'll notice that I started as a ranger, and as a new player, because I've never played ranger before, I haven't played ranger since Alpha 0. It never gave me the idiot light that I should have my mark on. Never told me that. They need to seriously stop and refocus on... They are far enough along now that they actually do need to be worried about the new player acquisition funnel. Because all you're going to get now is people backing the game and saying your game sucks.
Aye, Tall One. I mean to transcribe these runes, but I can't reach to clear the dirt caked on the top ones. I know your height brings innumerable disadvantages, but perhaps this once, it can make a difference.
Okay. Okay, so we got the quest that we literally clicked the statue. Okay, When the heir of the prior matriarchal dynasty slipped into death's embrace, the council of guilds gathered in solemn conclave to divine a successor worthy of the mountain's crown. For nearly 2 centuries, a regent bound in name alone held the reins of governance, his authority little more than a vessel for the council's will. At last, beneath the molten heart of Doan herself, Theodora Thurgens was crowned Queen Matriarch amid iron hymns and ancestral fire. Her unflinching command brought decisive triumphs against the Quebec Protectorate and the marauding Cinderhoof, heralding an age of golden fortune for the people of Duneskel. Well, first of all, when you spent more time writing the description of the statue than you did writing your code, that's one problem I think we can all agree with. Your game runs like crap, but your statue lore is great. That's AI text. Not necessarily. If you run anything that I write through an AI, it's going to tell you that there's a high probability it was written by an AI, or it was written by a person with a graduate degree. If stone should split and thrones decay and all the light is swept away, then deep shall stir in sacred flame the hammer of restoration's name. That's AI, or just somebody really bad at poetry. What? Find the second verse, find the third verse, find the fourth verse. Oh. It's a quest to go and find these other things. I thought they specifically said, and I don't remember. Didn't they specifically say years ago that they weren't gonna put idiot lights on the map? Did I ever get an old school RuneScape? I did not get an old school RuneScape, and I finally figured out why. I always loved the idea of RuneScape. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But every time I try to play RuneScape, I get a terrible headache and like a pain behind my eyes. And somebody finally linked me up with the answer. It's because of the server tick rate. My brain wants the tick rate to be a second, but there's this like 0.7 seconds. And my brain is just like, it can't catch up. I love the idea of the game. I just can't play because of the tick rate. It like literally causes me pain. It's just my brain wants 1 second intervals, not 0.7. Was never able to figure it out why. It was actually because the Brighter Shores developer is whatever the fuck his name is, but he's one of the RuneScape developers, and it was in his Discord that he explained that. He's Grauer, Andrew Grauer, I think it's Gower. Brighter Shores turned out to be a big flop though.
Thank you, adventurer. Reward for blushing.
Yeah, I thought they weren't doing idiot lights. Idiot lights are now on everything, including items you can't use. The thing people rather wants the game to be good than lore. I prefer a game that plays good than every MMO doesn't care about lore anyway. Yeah, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. Unless the lore is great. Yeah, but here's the problem. And you need the lore to be good. It needs to be great, but it can't be it can't be abundantly clear that you spent more time writing the lore than you did writing the code. The game has to play good, otherwise it's a shitty game with great lore that nobody ever plays. It's like I say about action combat. And again, if you've played Ashes, tell me what you think about the action combat, because I think the combat is terrible. and I'm trying to stay out of the action camera. I'm trying to stay out of the action camera because I don't want to give an opinion on the action camera part. The combat thus far is terrible. Like, it seems like Steven was hellbent on shoving in this auto attack. Instead of an auto attack, it seems like Steven was hellbent on shoving in a manual triggered filler attack. Like, don't know why you were so hellbent on this. You can set it so it auto attacks? Really? Where's that? Because that would be a great thing. Gameplay? Awesome. That would have been amazing to be in. Press I to open your inventory. There should be a tutorial. I didn't get a tutorial or a tip for that one. Game options, gameplay, settings. Camera and moving, combat. Auto attack enabled. Look at that. That would be like one of those things that we should have, right? Like, auto attack enabled should be enabled by default. Alpha 2.75, you mean 0.75? Because I don't consider this Alpha 2 anything. I don't consider this worthy of being called an Alpha 2 at all. That's just my opinion. I'll just be Kermit the Frog over here drinking my tea. Oh shit. And I like the fact, does the combat feel like Arcage? Fuck no. If fucking Intrepid could only hope on their very best day that they could make this their combat feel as smooth as Arcage. Arcage, for all of its problems, right? For all of the problems that Arcage had, with pay to win, with buying red regrade scrolls, with buying resplendence, with buying, you know, all of that, Arcage had great combat. Arcage had amazing combat. With the exception of, what I will say is, they had amazing combat with the exception of endless arrows, which they could never work out, and it had to do with server ping. And what the big problem was is that they were developing the game in Korea, where the minimum ISP, and remember, this is 12 years ago. The minimum ISP in Korea was 25 down. In America, there were people that were playing with 10 to 15 down. So, unless they won't fix the combat, Ashes ain't going to be good or even fun. And yeah, and that needs to be said to Intrepid early and often. Because there's people like, oh, well, look at these people. They grind. They did their grinding for 2 days and they're already level 25. Congratulations. Congratulations. Do you think the average player is going to do that? Like this right here, this would be a good spot. Everything up to this point should have been no PvP, which I'm not level 5 yet, so it's no PvP. But what should happen here, since this is not the starter area, don't worry about putting that PvP tutorial in at level 1. Move that PvP tutorial to here. And then when a person goes to move out, maybe not even this area because I'm level 2. When the person goes to move out of the next area or into the open world, say, hold on there a second, partner. Have one of the guards say, I need to talk to you. They also still haven't fixed quest people not showing in the minimap. What do you mean? Are they not supposed to? Where are the guards? Those grab things swarmed over us and stole my hearth helper. Call it a doll and I'll clock you. That's my grandfather stitched by my ma with a stone from his forge inside and I want it back. Oh, they sometimes do and sometimes don't? It's like the person that said, wish you had a better vertical slice. If you remember the first instance of Alpha 1, the first instance of Alpha 1 was a good vertical slice. It had a couple of classes, it had a kind of roughed out area, and you could kind of see what was going on. And I'm not going to be the person that says this is painful because of the speed. Because I'm going to say it's painful because mobs are apparently randomly immune to damage. Which I will tell them, stop. Because if you have all these bugs with your mobs at this level, then you have these problems forever. Or you have people that are coding differently. You're not using a standard set of code. And I've already seen multiple combat bugs. So stop developing. I think it's just the new zone that has that issue. Okay, that may very well be. And I'm not a programmer, but I am a project manager. And what I will immediately say is that if you were able to develop one zone and it doesn't have the issue, and then the new zone does have the issue, who fucked up what? And again, if people want to say only the new zone has it, that's a piece of information because I haven't played in the other zone yet. That's fine. But why does one zone have it? Because you shouldn't, at this point, you shouldn't be building anything organically new. You should be, it should literally be copy pasta. Because it should be, this works, we have this zone, we want to build a new zone, okay, we grab this and we bring it over, we grab this, we bring it over, we grab this, we bring it over. Otherwise, how do you ever make a global change to anything? The new zone shouldn't have a problem just because it's the new zone. Know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? We all on the same page? That was bad. Have you found my hearth helper? I have. Oh, hey, I leveled again. Dunzendal. Okay. Headshot refunds 4 seconds of its cooldown when it hits a marked target. That would be easy. If it was copy-paste, everyone would develop an MMO. No, they wouldn't, because first of all, you still have to develop the first thing first. Like, why would you say if it was that easy, if it was copy-paste? It is copy-paste. Because you design something, and then it works, and that's your template. And then everything else is based off of that template. Otherwise, if you have 15 different templates, when you want to fix something, you have to touch 15 different things. So yeah, and again, if I'm wrong, I have a bunch of programmers and game designers in my community. I'll ask them I'll be like, hey, am I wrong on this? Because I'm pretty sure they've told me, no, I'm not wrong on that. So 15-second cooldown, that's a 30-second cooldown, so that's pointless. MMO by paste bin. Well, that's what I've been told. You should design one thing, make sure it works, and then use that as the template for everything else. Because then each individual person building something isn't tweaking it. You say this doesn't work and it doesn't work globally. Let's tweak it. Why are the mobs acting this way? Because we fucked up. Deadly finisher trigger chance is increased by 10%. Finisher and deadly finisher damage is increased by 3%. All weapons get 3% penetration, but when I hit T and I go over, penetration doesn't show up. So I can hit T and I can look at wounded. I can look at deadly finisher, but I can't look at what penetration does. Okay. Somebody at Intrepid's like, fuck, Jay's covering our game again. And the QA department's like, we don't have to do our job. We can just listen to Jay's show. Increases the critical strike chance of all projectiles. Well, that's a no-brainer right there. Gain an additional 1% movement speed every second while sprinting. Okay, we can do that. Nobody quite holds Steven accountable in a way that you do. And that's because all the other content creators that were involved with Ashes of Creation, they're trying to make something of their content creation career. They're trying to become creators because they need money. They need resources. They need fundings. They want to augment their income. Guys, I'm gonna die here soon, and I'm not joking. I'm gonna die here soon. I don't need to do this. I don't need to make money doing this, so I can be as critical as I need. But the really funny part is when you bring something up to Intrepid and you're critical, they never own it. They never say, we fucked that up. It's always an excuse. Hey man, you don't really police your community too well, and the people in your community aren't really receptive to new people who have critical feedback. Oh, well, you should see the way we're treated on the internet. Fine, that's a separate point. We'll talk about your point in a second. Why don't you police your community and make it so that people with a dissenting opinion don't get run out of your community? You wonder why Ashes of Creation sucks? Ashes of Creation sucks because you have created an echo chamber. You created an echo chamber by having an elite group of people who have spent $2,500 to join the Phoenix Initiative. What do you think? People that gave you $2,500 were going to give you hard-hitting in the face feedback? No, they want to be part of the in crowd. Now they're talking, what did somebody PM me? Because I didn't watch the live stream. Somebody PM'd me yesterday that Steven's setting up a council. He's basically setting up the EVE Online Council of Interstellar Management. That's not his fucking idea. I brought that idea to him years ago. Because that's what he should have been doing. He should have not surrounded himself with a bunch of sycophants who were going to tell him what he wants to hear, and he shouldn't have surrounded himself with any one guild or any one play style. You're surrounding yourself with people who want to manipulate you to build the game that they want. You had a 4,000 page game design document. You've been storytelling this for years. Why didn't you build the game that you wanted? Why didn't you build what you thought would be good? Instead, we've got this half-assed, this absolutely half-assed combat system, right? What if anybody is telling Intrepid that your combat is good by what standard? And then I'd need to know, well, what'd you think about Arcage? And did you play New World? And did you play Final Fantasy? And I could see you saying the combat is better than Final Fantasy's, because Final Fantasy's combat is terrible because it's perpetually stuck on a 2.5 second starting global cooldown. But if your mark of fame is combat better than a 12-year-old game that was a hodgepodge collection of scrapped code, that's not a good benchmark. Is Ashes of Creation's combat better than Chrono Odyssey's? No. Is it better than New World's? Is the combat better? Not is the rest of the other developed systems. Is the combat better? No. I'm sorry. No. But keep in mind, Final Fantasy combat works. It's not the best, but it's playable. Yes! Yes! They've got millions, plural, of players. So what is it about Final Fantasy XIV that captivates millions of players when it starts off on a shitty combat? One of my biggest concerns right now for the game is the PvE content. Ashes seems to be a mob grinder game. Something Steven specifically said Ashes wasn't going to be. I fear at this point there's not much that can be done about this. Oh, you mean like all the other things that when I brought up years ago and I would hold Steven accountable and the community was fucking terrible? When I would say you said this, I never said that. Bullshit, motherfucker, that's what you said. Instead of owning it. Love you, Jay. Thank you for playing. You're level 14. Good job. Instead of people looking at me and saying, yeah, Steven, you did say that. They defended him. What, is he not a big boy? Is he not a college graduate? Am I picking on him? Am I beating him up? It was amazing to me that his elite white knight guard would step in and be like, oh, you can't talk to the Lord in Sandal that way. Why? Did he take your money? Oh, he did? Okay, then why aren't you interested in holding accountable? And this is, right now, there is nothing special. Ashes of Creation is terrible bad for sensation and combat. Prefer old MMORPG than Ashes, and I don't see Ashes change at all after this. Here's why they can't change. Because the team of people that Steven has collected either don't know how to do anything else. They're not allowed to tell Steven where it's bad. Or Steven doesn't care that it's bad. Like this. You ripped this off verbatim from Arcage. Slowed move speed while carrying a cargo pack? You stole that shit from Arcage. That's not even your fucking idea. You straight benchmarked it from another game, a game you played a lot of. I haven't dug into their changes with their economy system, but what pissed me off, and it should piss you off if you're a backer, they said years ago that Rocco Scandizo designed their economy, that he was on board as their economy designer.
I just can't seem to keep just in time. Right.
You should be pissed off that that man doesn't even have Ashes of Creation on his LinkedIn. He makes no claim that he ever designed anything. Hope they see this before it's too late. It is too late. And here's why it's too late. As you saw Camelot Unchained, I did a video on Camelot Unchained, and I said they have no choice, but they need to. They said we took it down to the studs. Well, if you don't know what that expression means, it means when you're building a house or remodeling a house, you keep nothing. Taking it down to the studs means you keep absolutely nothing. Well, if you're taking a game down in year 9 of development back to the studs, you're in a lot of fucking trouble. Because that means you got to take everything back down. Which, if you've listened to Yoshi P over the years, when it came to Final Fantasy, Yoshi has said he wishes he could have taken Final Fantasy down to the studs, but instead, Yoshi P was given a fixed amount of income and a fixed amount of time, and he literally had to save Square Enix's ass. They were about to go bankrupt. They had all their eggs in the Final Fantasy 1.0 basket, and they couldn't make it work. So Yoshi P got tagged, hey, you have to take what we have, and you have this amount of time. Not 1 minute more. You have to launch by this date. Yoshi is acknowledged that the crafting system just didn't get enough love before they had to relaunch. He admits this. He literally says now, there are things about the crafting system they just can't fix, which is a shame. But at least he's honest. At least he's honest with you about it, and he says, I acknowledge this is bad. Intrepid never acknowledges anything's bad. They don't want negative feedback. If you give negative feedback, but you don't give it in a loving manner, they discount you. The shit I've been told. It's not the fact that you had negative feedback. It's the fact that it could be viewed as toxic vitriol. Oh, I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings. Ready? It seems apparent that your skill team, it seems apparent that your lack of developers your team of developers is lacking in fundamental skills. It seems like you're ready, fire, aim, and whatever you're hitting, you're calling the target. It seems like you're trying to reach artificial deadlines every month in order to have something to showcase on your live stream instead of waiting until you have something. It seems like you must feed the hype machine, because if you don't, you're afraid people are actually going to forget about your game. Do you want me to do it without toxic vitriol? I can do that. I can. I don't think it's what you need to hear, but I can. Fucking patcher that takes 26 minutes to install a patch. 25 minutes of downloading. 25 minutes to download a patch? What the hell was in the patch? The whole game? You got a new bag. But it won't help until you equip it. Oh, there you go. That's a good tooltip. Whoever wrote this tooltip right here, give this motherfucker a raise right here. A bag popped into my inventory, and it popped up. That's great. It's always the white knights that destroy the one they want to protect. They see nothing wrong because they're zealots. Yeah, you never want to surround yourself with zealots. Zealots filter out the important feedback that you need. I hope they eventually give Yoshi a new MMO. Yoshi didn't want it. If you're not familiar, they pulled out the new MMO seat for Yoshi. And he didn't sit in it. Because this was when he was on the board of directors. I think he still is on the board of directors. They've just shuffled him around a little bit. They pulled out the seat and he said, I can't take it. Because we still have a little bit of story left in Final Fantasy 11 to tell, and Final Fantasy 14, we've just gotten to a point. And then they put out Dawn Trail, which is like, okay. EverQuest 3 is in production. Yeah, EG7. And they plan on blitzing through that. They have a 3-year development pipeline. So Intrepid Studios, where is their launch window? Yeah, 2028. 3-year development pipeline. For EverQuest 3. I had to check my note. I didn't. This isn't an overall video game show. I didn't have my note. I have notes on my other screen. I didn't have them on this PC. I had to look up if it was EG7 and what the development timeline was. That's why I said because I didn't have it at the top of my fingers. But yeah, they have a very rapid development pipeline. So where's Ashes of Creation's window? When can they launch? Because right now, Oh, I guess you can take both of the abilities. I guess you can. That's interesting. Right now I need another ability. Monsters in Memory public test Monday. I don't know what Monsters in Memory is. Ashes was supposed to launch in 2019 before 2020, yes. I hope Dawn Trail goes somewhere. I actually recently went back to it. Actually, the sad part is I just uninstalled Final Fantasy 14 off my PC. I hate Dawn Trail that much. I literally hate Dawn Trail that much. It caused me to uninstall the game. I will not slog through it. Indie MMO. Hey, do you got a link to it? Because if it's a public test, we can always check that shit out. Cool. And I need to write it down on a... Sorry, my desk is a mess. I went out this morning and I was late getting started. I went, and then on my way home I had to get groceries and I got some sushi. I normally like having things neat and clean. Okay, the one piece of good that I will, because I will always say something good if there's something good. It's nice that I've had enough time as a player. I feel that I've had enough time as a player to get to know my class. And now I feel when I've moved into the next room, I feel the sense of danger growing. With that said, it's a totally ridiculous and asinine story because they didn't frame it. But as a person that understands it, as a person that understands the idea around Sanctus and coming back through the gates, you have a little camp, right? You have a little camp. People came through. Some of their forward explorers went on. They opened up some tunnels, and now all these faulty grabblings are coming out, and now they're cut off from the pockets of camps. That's a good story. You know what they should remake? Star Wars Galaxies with today's graphics. They should, and that is something that Disney should absolutely do. And Disney, I will tell you, shopped around the Star Wars IP to a couple of different companies to get a new MMO made. And hopefully we get a new one in the future. Because unfortunately, I think we can all agree, Star Wars The Old Republic had had absolutely great graphics, great immersion, great storytelling. The combat was fulfilling. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't game of the century. But they didn't have enough content, and they committed the cardinal sin of launching a game. They launched their game without enough content to last more than 2 months. And then they didn't realize, and BioWare admitted it. What they said was they thought die-hard Star Wars fans would play through more than one storyline. And if it was a single-player game, people absolutely would have played through multiple campaigns. But it was an MMO. So they built their game on an idea of what a Star Wars player would do, but they didn't build their game around what a MMO player would do. Recover the runic sigils from the claystone defenders. Okay, so this is another example of bad game design. I'm in a room where I need a particular mob. And that's a Claymore Guardian. I need a claystone defender. So, is this the right mob? So, obviously it's not the right mob. Because I'm not getting what I need. Also, if you're going to make me kill a certain particular mob, then don't have the room populated with a bunch of mobs that I don't need. If it's going to be a quest block. I've been looking for a good MMO and been keeping my eye on this one, but every time I watch some video of it, I'm starting to doubt it. I have now went to playing WoW. It's the Defenders. So it is the Defenders. Well, it can't be the Defenders. I don't see any Defenders. There's no Defenders in here. There's Guardians. I'll go look in the earlier room. I would not buy into Ashes of Creation right now. I cannot give it. They're near the doorways. Oh, those little guys? Okay. I could not, in good faith, give Ashes of Creation my endorsement right now. Of course, I should want to give them my endorsement. Because if I get you to sign up using my referral code, then I can make money. I absolutely will not do that. If you're going to sign up anyway, use my referral code. Right? But I absolutely cannot give Ashes of Creation my endorsement. That's a Claiborne Laborer. I absolutely cannot give it my endorsement. MMOs about pay to win or pay to convenience. No, I don't think that's true. I do not think that that's true, and I do not think that's fair. Some MMOs are doing that. Some MMOs are charging you for every little thing. Some aren't. Starry Studios and Once Human, they don't charge you for anything. They don't charge you at all for inventory space. They only charge you for cosmetics. They run a completely free to play game. I think we need to not be so jaded when we say games are doing X or games are doing Y, because I don't think it's across the board. I think some games are doing that. I think some games are being crappy. I don't think all games are doing that, and I don't think all games are being crappy. Now, with Ashes, what I will say was incredibly crappy of them to do was to sell freehold space, freehold cosmetics for 5 years, because they made everybody think that getting freeholds was going to be the primary way, the primary form of housing. And then all of a sudden they turned around and they said, well, no, that's actually not the case. Okay, well, if you've decided to change design ideas, that's cool. Refund everybody's freehold skins. Because you sold freehold skins like clockwork for 5 years. And then as soon as you say that, they don't want to hear it. As soon as you say that to them, they're like, oh, well, what do you mean? What do you mean you feel that what we did was nefarious? Well, what do you mean? What do I mean? You've been selling freehold skins for 5 years. Never, ever with the disclaimer that freeholds wouldn't be available. Oh, well, we told you that you'd have to work hard for them. Yeah, but you didn't say it in such a way that people understood they were going to be limited. Not the way you're now saying it. If you had told people years ago that they're going to be extremely limited, nobody would have given you $25 a pop. It's hilarious that this game is subscription-based. I would never change my WoW subscription to Ashes in the State. If a game like this is going to launch, which is probably going to be unfortunate, it should be free to play. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with your initial response. However, you could scream that from the rooftops and Intrepid would say that you're being mean and that you're not being fair, which is why I specifically am giving them credit where credit is due. But at the same time, I'm not going to... I'm not your mom and I'm not your dad and I'm not there to give you a pat on the back and a pat on the head and say, you're doing really good, son. Keep trying. I'm here to take the picture that you drew and throw it across the room and say, this is shit, do it over. Like, not to be a jerk about it, but we're not going to say something is good if it's bad. And that's why Intrepid got into the state that they're in. Because critical feedback, harsh feedback, was dismissed as toxic vitriol. So if you're going to say, oh, it's toxic vitriol, I do what Steven said, you're not happy, come back when game is ready. Let me help you out with that expression. When you say, come back when the game is ready, that's a politically correct way to say, fuck off. That translates in marketing speak to fuck off. Is the Defender quest required to progress? No, but I'm not the type of person that's going to walk away and not finish a quest, because that shit irritates me. That wasn't even the right fucking guy. That was a laborer. That was a laborer that had it, not even a fucking defender. So again, yeah. They, no, Alpha Zero was released in December of 2017. Intrepid Studios wasn't even a studio until 2015. The character models are stylistic choice. I really like the team. It takes practice to enjoy it, but I have a lot of hope. Oh, never mind. You guys are talking about the other game. I haven't looked at that yet. Truthfully, though, I don't see this as game of the anything. Can you abandon quests so they're removed from your journal? I do believe you can. But then that brings me to, personally, that brings me to another problem. Why is that quest there in the first place? Now, I don't mind, for example, I understand rudimentary game design and development because I took Game Design and Development 101, wonderful textbook over there, or reader book over there that we used for the class. I understand that sometimes you don't have 100% drop rate. Yeah, I can abandon the quest, but why would I want to? The quest should be completable. If you're going to tell me to kill defenders, but you really want me to kill laborers, then fix the fucking quest log. Have attention to detail. And here's where I'm going to project something. And yeah, that's what I realized. I'm going to say something here, and it makes me sound like a jerk. But if you have no care and attention to details when it comes to matching the voiceover with the dialogue on the screen, and if you have no care and attention to details that the quest log matches the mobs I'm supposed to kill, then that means your policies, your procedures, your pipelines, your QA don't catch those two mistakes. But you want me to believe that your policies, your pipelines, your procedures, and your QA are going to find mistakes in the code. So in your patcher, that doesn't work. Wait, the voiceover doesn't match the quest text? No, it doesn't. In one of the quests, the fucking AI, the fucking voiceover is rabbiting on about something that's not on the screen. So who the fuck approved that? And my problem with it is, that means if that mistake can get through, right? If that mistake can get through, then how do you defend and articulate that your code is being vetted and checked? Like, what did Steven say during yesterday's live stream? Dynamic gridding is online. Hold on, I don't want to say online. Where's my phone? I want to get the actual word that he used. What Steven said, somebody sent me a bunch of quotes. Dynamic gridding is live, but only when we turn it on and are testing it specifically. Dynamic gridding is online, but only when we turn it on and test it. Well, then let me help you out. No, that's what he said during yesterday's live stream. That's what he said. He said it's live, but only when we turn it on to test it. Dynamic gridding is live, but only with the caveat, only when we turn it on when we are specifically testing it. No, stop. I'm not going to fucking argue with you. This right here is not a back and forth where you defend Intrepid. This is where I tell you, people heard. Okay? No, it's not a back and forth, because this is viewers of their live stream typed to me what they perceived as what they were told. So it's not a you defend Intrepid. If you want to white knight that shit, fuck off. Unless you're going to go and pull the exact quote and do your job as a white knight, what multiple people heard and understood. You are defending it because you keep saying on the PTR. But that's not what they heard. That's not what they said. And when you say something is live, but then you have to put a caveat, only when we turn it on, then it's not live. And everybody, it works like this. Whether you love Steven or hate Steven, whether you love Ashes or hate Ashes, there should be a 100% unanimous pushback against Steven to say, look, man, you cannot say something is live and then say something is on a switch and it's on when we turn it on. Because then it's not live, then it's on a switch. And you know which game developer can take that kind of pushback? Is Yoshi P. Because the community loves Yoshi P. They love him. But they will still hold Yoshi to task. And he accepts it and he appreciates it because he says, that's how I get better. So if you have a company that's going to say fool-ass bullshit like this is live, but only when we turn it on, then it ain't live. My Christmas lights are live, but it's August. I don't have them plugged in. Then they're not live, motherfucker. That's what words mean. And if you want to say, well, sometimes, then don't be mad when people are critical of you because you say words how you want them to be used. See, I can't make a video that says there's no dynamic gridding because I have no way as an end user to know when they do and when they do not have dynamic gridding. But if they ever do a mass test somewhere and you can clearly see that the performance doesn't stay whatever you want to call the performant as more people show up in an area, then you'll be able to say, okay, well, I thought you had dynamic gridding on. Yeah, Intrepid Studios has the same issue Pirate Software has. They project a certain level of transparency, and when called out for not being transparent, they double down, they blame everyone but themselves, they make you the bad guy, They create the boogeyman so that they don't have to hold themselves accountable. Like, I misspeak occasionally. My community corrects me. I forget to go down an aisle and address a point. My community corrects me. Salty Bread got me yesterday. I was thankful he was here. Because I was talking about something. And he's like, you're forgetting this really important point. And I'm like, yeah. Oh, this is nice. Do we not... Did I not get a torch or something? I do have to say, though, the dynamic gridding I experienced on the PTR was very impressive. What was impressive about it? I'll ask you. Because how many people did they have? How many people did they have on grid? Because you don't know if the dynamic gridding was worth a shit or not. You don't know if the whole world was populated. It's really, really, really easy to make something look like dynamic gridding is working right. Did they give you proper controls? Did they actually let you... Did they start you all off in different areas and have you start fighting and then all move to one spot? Did they put up some sort of visual boundary so you knew when you transferred from one grid to another? And the big question is, how many people were there? Because they need to have the ability to at least have 1,000 people on grid and have high performance. Otherwise, their other game designs don't work.
Greetings, traveler. Durn the just. That's what they call me. I found these creatures have been causing some problems and attacking people passing free. I'm working as fast as I'm able.
Okay,
but there are just too many injured travelers.
Let me stop you. Let me stop you on something. Ready? I want to stop you right here so that you have a realistic understanding. You were impressed by performance of dynamic gridding with 200 players on grid when ArcAge, built on CryEngine 3, which came out 13 years ago, could have 140 players, mounts, and pets on grid at 25 to 30 frames per second. This test was on extra functionality to splitting, not necessarily... Well, then why... Stop then. Then don't tell me you were impressed with the fucking performance. See, this is where I'm not a nice guy. Don't tell me one thing. Don't say one thing, right? And then move down another, right? Because they split a small area into like 4 times. Hold on, what did you say? I do have to say, though, the dynamic gridding I experienced on the PTR was very impressive. It was very impressive. What was impressive about it? Having 200 people on a grid? That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter because 12-year-old games had 140 people on grid. In CryEngine 3. CryEngine 3 doesn't have dynamic gridding. They literally could put 200 people or 140 people on grid before we had any performance issues. Now, some people will say, well, my computer, yeah, that was back in the day when people were running on 660s or 770s, and the amount of performance capability between a 660 and a 10 series, it was their computer lagging down. 200 people is a bullshit test. Why do you need to split grids when you have 200? Shit, man. PlanetSide 2 had 1,200 person battles without dynamic gridding. So it's great that they're getting people to buy into this dynamic gridding option. Let me know when you can split a fight around a geographical area with 2,000 people into it and let me know when you start pulling, because it doesn't matter. This is what they've sold you on a bill of goods. The fact that they can in real time transfer entire authority across servers, render distance working perfectly across multiple servers, and the fact that they can seemingly split an area, to me that was impressive. First of all, every game does that, static or dynamic. Rendering distance across it, big deal. My question for you is, why are they trying to develop a piece of technology that won't solve their biggest problem? What's their biggest problem where they might need dynamic gridding? Castle sieges and node sieges. Does it work when you have all 1,000 people on one grid at one capture point? No. Unless they can, I don't care how many times they can divide it. I have no reason to believe it doesn't. You have no reason to believe it does. You have no fucking reason to believe it does. Because the only test you've seen of it is 200 people. My point is, why do you need to split a grid of 200 people into anything? The answer is you don't. Or are you telling me that they can't have 200 people on their standard grids right now? Don't be excited and don't perpetuate a nothing. Because you have dynamic gridding. That's great. What problem is your dynamic gridding solving? I was skeptical it was even going to work. So to me, them showcasing the tech works, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and that's the problem. You have nothing to go on to know it works. You have something to go on that it might work when limited to 200 people, which is a scenario you should not have to split at all. If it works, why not go live then? There you go. If it works, why do they have to have it on a toggle where they control when it's live and when it's not? That's the next question. But my other one is, does it do anything for you, right? If this is your castle, and this is the throne room, and this is the capture point, and you have 500 versus 500, does dynamic gridding solve this problem? The answer is no. They are tuning parameters for it to split automatically. If that's not tuned correctly, it might start randomly splitting areas. Right, I'm happy for them. Get back to my point. How does dynamic gridding solve the problem of 1,000 people standing on the capture point? The answer is it doesn't. The answer is it absolutely does not. They got caught up with trying to be the company that solves the bleeding edge of technology for a solution. Right, you do agree with me. Then stop perpetuating that they've done something impressive until the impressive thing they've done solves a problem. Intrepid decided to put a bunch of their fucking money and time and effort and energy into a solution for a problem that it doesn't solve. And so when people say, oh, it's working, they tested it with 200 people, it's working. Test it with 1,000 people. Test it with 2,000 people at a node siege. But even then, it's not going to solve your problem unless you design the game in such a way that you will never have the entirety of the population converging onto one point. Which I solved this problem for them probably 4 years ago in a video that's probably still up on my channel, where I said, if you don't have the ability to have 1,000 people on one single grid in a castle siege, then never have a scenario where 1,000 people will be on the grid. If there's going to be 3 nodes in the castle siege, then have each one of the nodes be a contested battleground during the castle siege window. So put 50 people into each node. 50 on 50. So that's 300 people out of your 1,000 that are off the grid. Now, you're down to 700 people. Can your grid support 700 people? No. Then make the campaign headquarters of the defenders a grid and make that 100 versus 100. Meaning the castle defenders can win if they capture the campaign headquarters. Now I've offloaded 200, 300, 400, 500. Can your main castle have 250 versus 250? Still no? Then you need to reduce the total number of people you allow to go to the castle siege. Notice I did not need the dynamic gridding solution at all in that, because I have the foresight to know dynamic gridding won't solve the problem of 1,000 people on grid. So I don't care how good of a fucking solution it is if it doesn't solve a problem. Now, does anybody know what the fuck is going on here? Why am I in the dark? Because this looks like a lumen or a shader's problem. I can't even see what's going on. No, I can't see what's going on either. Are you able to run the game with ray tracing? I am, yeah. Well, God, I would fucking hope so. Unless they're going to say that the new graphics requirement for their game is a 50 series graphics card. Hi, Mimits. Oh, good solution. Oh, hi, buddy. Hi. Can the people see you? The people haven't met Mittens. This is Mittens. Why won't you let them see you? Fine. I absolutely share your concern, especially because I thought the minimum area they could split would be way larger than it actually is. I'm hoping that Intrepid designs their mass sieges in a way where it doesn't end up everyone in a clump. I do believe open world fights where people are constantly moving, dynamic gridding as showcased, will have a positive effect on performance. Honestly, man, let me help you out. No, the fuck it won't. The only thing that dynamic gridding does is it's gonna put a bunch of people in a place, and it's going to offload the rest of the resources, the town, the people that aren't near the fight. Let me ask you, when are you going to have the only time I see dynamic gridding being relevant in Ashes of Creation is caravans. That's it. I will admit dynamic gridding would be a great solution for caravans, because that means a caravan is always going to be designated as a high priority area. So it's not going to be, you're not going to lose your caravan due to lag, due to people being able to run up and overlag you. Absolutely. Beyond that, when are you going, or unless you have world bosses that actually move around the world and don't stand pat. And I could see that. But beyond that, all of your other content, like a node siege, is going to be around a statically designed point. You don't need to do dynamic gridding around a node. You should have it laid out properly. So that way you know where you design the node so that different objectives at the node siege are already on different grids. Until they test it with 2,000 people, you don't know if it's going to, you don't even know if it works. You don't even know if it's going to be a viable solution until they test it with 2,000 people. And I wasn't there for the test. You said 200. So I'm saying dynamic gridding is not needed. I'm saying the only place dynamic gridding is possibly needed is caravans. Naval caravans, regular running caravans, those two places dynamic gridding could be needed, because you don't want people to lose their caravans because the server performance becomes terrible. But beyond that, every other, or again, if a world boss is pathing, then what happens is the world boss becomes a grid no matter where it goes. Isn't dynamic gridding bad for caravans? If you're pirate software, you can fill the screen with 300 people and enemies won't be able to see the caravan because you fill all the slots. No, Alice, you have no idea what dynamic gridding is. Because if my grid area, so if this is my grid area, and there's a node over here, and in this whole zone, I'll say there's 5,000 NPC, mob spawn, treasure chests, gatherables, all the interactables. There's 5,000 things on this entire grid. And this town currently has 400 people in it, right? And the grid starts to suffer performance when it has 401 or more. 401 or more PCs in an area, the performance quality goes down. So then what happens is when your caravan moves onto this grid and you bring 50 defenders with it, well, you're going to have the grid that you're on is like, well, shit, I have 5,000 assets and I have 450 players. This is a bad idea. So what happens then is if a group of people come to attack this caravan, then what the system will say is, oh shit, go Power Ranger, and it's going to create a new grid here. So now this, yeah, go ahead, and this will now be a grid that can handle 500 assets and 400 people. And I don't know their exact numbers, but since I used 400 and 5,000, it's the same. So now the caravan stops, and there's PvP in here, but it's good quality PvP. Now, as far as what you said, what about an individual that has a super mega guild who can fill up the grid? Well, you're right. That's why I said to Milos, we need to stop being like, raw, they fixed it. I need to know how many people they can put on the grid at all times. Because if the grid can only hold 300 people, which they don't know, if they only tested with 200, then they have no idea if they can hold more than 200 people on those grids. Yeah, who cares, man? Like, this grid that you're showing me, I don't even know why you're impressed then. I would expect them to be able to collapse again. That red square, if you guys click on, I would expect that red square at the bottom, that they would have tested it again. And then again. Because a world boss is going to be everybody within 200 meters. I don't think even WoW can show more than 300 characters on the screen at the same time. Well, first of all, I don't know why you would say even WoW, because WoW is a 22-year-old engine, and it is not anything that should be used for a definition of performance. Second of all, EVE Online can show 6,000 people on grid at the same time. Unfortunately, you go into 10% time dilation. PlanetSide 2 showed 1,200 people on the screen. It was just a fucking bloody mess. ArcAge could show more than 300. Actually, ArcAge could show 500 to 600 if you went into default player appearance, assuming the other side wasn't spawning battle pets and mounts, because it could display several hundred things, and that's the trick, was you spawned a battle pet and a mount to cause them to not be able to see you. So I don't know why the fuck you would ever say, WoW is an old ass engine. WoW is not anybody's definition of performance. Throne and Liberty 500, I thought Throne and Liberty was hot dog shit, and I think you might have said something about Throne and Liberty Sieges. Yeah, WoW designed their game around the amount of characters they could show. WoW is a 22-year-old game. Now, you said I like Throne and Liberty's castle sieges. It made spread guilds, alliances across the entire castle. Yes, that's exactly it. You design the encounter with, you have to hold these points, right? If you give up this point, you taking 50 people from this tower into the main fight pales in comparison to the fact that this tower gives your team 200% life, 50% more defense. For every 20 seconds we hold this cap point, our team gets, every 20 seconds we hold this cap point uncontested, we get a bonus. Then the battle there stays forever. We're just going to have to wait and see how the servers perform. Right, but the thing is why, I'm sorry, I'm frustrated as fuck with people that are like, we're going to have to wait and see. You never should fucking know. You are never going to know. Dynamic gridding is called dynamic gridding because it should be happening automatically. You should never know it's happened because the server should be like, I need resources over there. EVE Online has static gridding. When you put in your report to EVE Online, in fact, EVE Online is starting to get more and more dynamic gridding, but when you put your report into EVE Online and you say, in 72 hours, we're going to hot drop these 3 places simultaneously, EVE says, okay, well, what we need to do is we need to move this shit onto its own grids. They have to do it statically, and I don't know where they are in the process of their dynamic gridding, but we have to do it statically. We have to say on the next time the server starts up, this location is on its own server, and they can do that. They've been able to do that for years. ArcAge had static gridding. You could find it by sailing just out of Solus Headlands, and then when the servers were laggy. But this is where we're going to judge the performance. If it's absolutely unplayable like it was in Phase 2, we can conclude that dynamic gridding didn't solve the issue. What issue are you talking about? That's what I need you to tell me. Dynamic gridding doesn't do anything for lag overall. Dynamic gridding only has anything to do with lag caused by high player density. Servers can lag for a lot of reasons. So saying that dynamic gridding, yeah, there's no lag because nobody's logged in. There's no lag anywhere. Oh, the dynamic gridding must be working. Oh, no, it's because no particular grid has more than 20 players on it. Be happy about it. But don't say that it's a good thing. Say, that was an interesting test with 200 people. How does it work with 2,000? Well, we haven't tested it that way. Wait a minute. You have a PTR. You have a private test realm for your new technology. All my open world PvP experience in Phase 2 was unplayable. Culling distance was always reduced to the point I couldn't see enemies within ability range. And it was always impossible to play around fighting multiple guilds because positioning was impossible. Guess what? How many fucking Phase 2 PvP fights did you have with more than 100 people in it? Because their grids have a player cap. How many? How many? Because all of the fights that I saw from Phase 2, I've never seen a mass fight with hundreds of people. I've seen some that might be pushing 150, and Unreal Engine out of the box is pre-configured for 100 people per grid. So, you're not going to get more performance out of it if in the grid you were in, you hadn't hit the player saturation number. The player saturation number is if we have more than 400 people in this grid or 300 people in this grid. If there weren't more than 300 people total in the grid doing anything, dynamic gridding fixes nothing. Unless you want to accept the fact that it has nothing to do with the dynamic gridding and it has everything to do with the fact that they don't know how to engineer large fights. Dynamic gridding isn't a way around your inability to program a fight because you still have now put people on a smaller grid and you still didn't know how to get performance out of the grid. I could give you a 200 meter box, but if I can only put 100 people in any grid of mine, guess what? I didn't fix the problem. You might have fixed the problem a little bit if you can effectively go cross-grid, but that has nothing to do with Intrepid's solution. That comes with Unreal Engine out of the box as well. So, I think it's really important for us not to say dynamic gridding is the magical panacea that fixes all of our problems. It is really important to say, you know what? Maybe they should have designed their game around things they could do instead of trying to be the engineers of something that if it was feasible to do, and work with me here for a second, don't you think the engine design company would fix the native dynamic gridding that's in Unreal Engine if it was so easy to do? You found a singular YouTube video with more than 100 people in a battle. Cool. How many? Can we get an estimate? Because if we're... Why didn't they choose static gridding if it worked so well for EVE Online? EVE Online, Lord of the Rings Online, Black Desert, Revelation Online, Even Bless, Elyon. I mean, static gridding works for games. Why didn't they choose it? Because people keep telling Steven about these golly gee whiz, great new fandangled, as Jeffrey Bard said, being on the bleeding edge of technology. And Steven wants to do these things, but he doesn't know why. Because people are in Steven's ear, and they've told him this is what we need to do. But they haven't articulated why. They haven't even built a functional castle siege yet. 100 versus 100 seems to be the limit. Okay. Yeah, it's basically the new shiny toy to play with. Now, if 200 people is the limit, dynamic gridding is not going to solve your problem. Because, as I said, engines with less power than Unreal Engine can already do more than 100 versus 100. And Intrepid has already had more than 200 people on grid on a static grid. When we did a large-scale test in APOC, where everybody logged in and everybody was force spawned into one map, we did more than, I think we did 208. So, again, I'm happy that you're excited, but I'm not going to allow bullshit to be spread until they prove it with, I'd like them to finally fish or cut bait, fuck or walk, and say, our castle siege is designed for this many people. Our node siege is for this many people. See, you notice that they're not giving you the rest of the bits that you would need to know. How the fuck did I miss? Speak to the Oracle. Fine, we gotta go back to the Oracle. Haven't been here in like 2 years. Don't worry. You haven't missed much in the 2 years other than the politics show. Me being absolutely terrible at, what was it that I absolutely was terrible at? What was that game? Oh yeah, Chrono Odyssey. If you watch me play an action game, it's painful. But I did raise a bunch of money for Extra Life the last couple of years. This community has raised $14,000 for Extra Life, so I'm really proud of all of you. And I have a matching fund again this year. It's not much this year, but I have a matching fund. Blame the game, not the player. No. When it comes to action combat, I will 100%. Yeah, I raised more money for Rady's Children's Hospital last year than they did.
You made it by the first four. Your efforts have...
No, it's okay to be excited about dynamic gridding. But what it's not okay to be excited about is to be like, oh, dynamic gridding, and so what? Hey man, I bought a new barbecue. That's cool. When are you cooking some steaks? Well man, it's the middle of December. We'll have to wait until it's springtime to cook some steaks. Oh, well how does that solve our problems today? Now, maybe Intrepid, and everybody always says, Jay, you don't give them enough credit. Maybe Intrepid has a completely separate build in the studio that's only for them. It's totally possible. But don't you think there's something a little bit goofy with this? Work with me here. I haven't tested this game since November. I haven't been in their category since last November. Don't you think it's a little goofy that they're in Alpha 2, but then they have a private test realm under NDA? Well, why do you have a private test realm under NDA, and then you constantly say our game's in development, our game's in development, our game's in development? Why don't you just put that shit on the public server? Why is it you spend so much time saying things and then putting caveats on them? The game is in early access right now. They're never going to stop key sales. Well, they did stop key sales for a long time, and then they brought them back. And I wonder why they did that. Is it because they needed more money? All right, now that's not too bad. Since I said I won't shit... Wait. Well, that's terrible, actually. That's terrible right there. The Jon Snow, that doesn't look bad. That looks fucking terrible. That looks good. That actually looks good. See the hair there? The hair is good right there. I don't think that's the right cosmetic attached to that. They probably didn't think through needing... Yeah, they also didn't think through... See, and this is where I'm not trying to be a dickhead. I'm not trying to be a dickhead in the slightest. But this is fucking terrible. Right there. Appreciate the follow. They should really not allow transmog until you're at max level. No, they have to allow transmog at level 1. Because if they suddenly want to change, was literally just talking about you because of the lockout lore. Cool. They have to allow transmog at level 1. And if they want to change it, then they have to offer refunds. Or they can do the same thing that they did with the freeholds, and then they're going to run into a really big problem because because everyone bought that shit under the pretense they could use it at level 1. If you want to change it, offer refunds. But I promise you this, Intrepid doesn't have enough disposable income right now to offer refunds. If they had to refund all of the cosmetics because they wanted to change the transmog level, they would go broke. For the same reason why I lost all respect for them when they changed the freehold thing and they didn't offer refunds. They basically said, we never told you, got presented with the where you did tell them, and then crickets. Everyone thinks I'm crazy about level 1 lockouts. Filed journal conversation and found something was confirmed. Something with the anvils is not functioning. Well, here's the thing. All I can tell you is the level 1 node lockouts changed. That changed. I have no idea what it changed to, but it changed. It changed just before my departure. Yeah, I don't... Remember, I left right after the freehold thing, and I peaced out because that was like the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I had already been on the verge of leaving after Steven laughed at the community over the Nodes 3 thing. And just because I have to cover my ass, please excuse me.
You're proving my
point. I have to play this so that nobody can say I made an accusation about Steven and I didn't prove it. So for a long time there was a discussion about Nodes 3. Nodes 3, where's Nodes 3, where's Nodes 3? And once upon a time in a land far away, Steven had said Tristan Snodgrass was back at the studio working on Nodes 3. And everybody believed him. And then this is the fallout from it.
I think our community often asks where Nodes 3 is at. Because one time, remember we were at that panel at PAX, and people were like, when's Nodes 3 coming out?
Nodes Part 3. So actually one of our team members is now currently with us here at PAX, and his name is Tristan Snodgrass, and the reason for that is because he's currently back at the studios working on Nodes Part 3.
And I'm like, Tristan's back at the studio, and he's editing it.
Yeah, I remember that, and I was like, what's he done? Yeah, I remember that, and I was like, what's he done?
So you remember that.
I think
You remember that, and it's like, oh, what's he talking about? So you're this is where no, Nodes 3 isn't understanding, because you fucking lied to your community and you fucking laughed about it. I had said for a long time, I defended Intrepid for years, and I defended Intrepid, and what I said was, it makes sense that we haven't gotten Nodes Part 3 yet, because they did Nodes Part 1 and Part 2. And even though they promised 3, in early initial feedback, they've gotten a lot of suggestions, a lot of changes. So it makes sense that they're not trying to put out Nodes Part 3, because they want to make sure that they have time to develop. All you had to do was say that, hey guys, we did Nodes Part 1 and Nodes Part 2, and we've realized due to all the feedback, we might have to make some design changes. I don't mean nodes anymore. Aren't they settlements? So they're not even nodes anymore. Oh, and there's not 103 of them. There's 85. We increased the size of the world. We reduced the number of nodes. And oh shit. We also didn't think about just how much work it is to make all of these nodes. What's a realistic timeline? 2030, maybe. So we didn't think about what we were building, and we had no idea it was going to take us so much time. And this isn't the first time, right? This isn't the first time I've caught Steven in a lie. I asked Steven once, and I said, why didn't you let people know in February that you were going to have APOC on Steam? We didn't know in February, so we couldn't have said that. Well, that's interesting, because APOC, why were you then installing Steamworks in December onto people's machines? I don't mind if you want to start planning to put your game on APOC. But don't fucking lie to me. Don't serve me a shit burger when I ordered a hamburger and then think that I'm not going to call you out on that shit. I'm going to call you out because you told me to. When you made me a part of the content creator program, you said what you wanted was critical feedback. You said multiple fucking times, you don't have investors. You don't have investors. You don't have investors. Fine, you don't have investors. So I backed your game on the idea that you don't have investors. From one of their lawsuits from Streamline Media, Mr. Sharif even stated that Intrepid Studios would pay for the 3 milestones, $241,500, but asked for Streamline Media to agree to delay receipt of the payment due to a round of investment in Intrepid Studios that he was trying to have closed before then. If you're going to have investors, I don't have a problem with that. During times at my bars, at my restaurant, at my apartments, I had to take on investors due to cash flow problems. I had no cash and thus no flow. As a businessman, for somebody to come out and say, I'm not going to ever have any investors, that's some big baller shit. But don't tell me and don't tell the community you ain't ever had investors when you didn't object to this being said in court. Your lawyer should have objected. If you have no investors, you should have objected to item 21. My problem is, don't piss on me and say it's raining. Don't piss on me and say it's... And then what'll happen is that'll get back to Steven, and he'll be like, He'll be like, da, 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 da. Oh yeah, and by the way, for all the people, and again, you're gonna laugh at this. They won't talk to me because I'm bad at marketing. You're right. It's bad because I'm gonna hold you to task. I do want to point out the fucking most delicious irony of all. Where is it? I'm never good with this. I'm never good with this shit. I won't argue, but I will tell you that I am the captain of the Ashes of Creation stream team. The Ashes of Creation stream team is my shit. They can't do anything about it. The only thing they can do is buy the Twitch stream team from me. Or they will never be able to have the Ashes of Creation stream team for their content creators. And here's the worst part. Do you know why I had to stop making Ashes Creation content? Why I was gone for 10 weeks? Because I was dealing with a fucking pussy-ass bitch that made a death threat against my, at the time, 10-year-old daughter. Now, I don't know what the fuck sort of lack of ball sack, lack of spine, lack of anybody has. But when you take the time to look up what school my kid goes to, and you send me a picture of my house and of my daughter's school, you better fucking pray the FBI finds you before I do. Because I'll fuck your world up. You go after my kid. I will fucking bury you, any progeny you have, and all of your fucking lineage back to fucking Adam and Eve. You threaten my kid. You want to threaten me? Go ahead. You want to threaten me? Go ahead. If you got a big ball sack, you know where I live, ring the fucking doorbell. I'll get a contract. You get a contract. We can sign it. I know a bunch of gyms. What do you want? Do you want MMA? Do you want a cage match? Do you want a fucking boxing match? What do you want? You want to fucking step up? We'll do that shit. You want to just go fisticuffs on my front lawn? No fucking problem. You go after my kid? I'll tell you one other. You better hope that I get to you before the FBI does. Because if my wife gets to you before I do, she's fucking not right in the head when it comes to our kids. She'll feed your feet. She'll feed your feet first through a wood chipper and turn that son of a bitch off when you get to about the waist. And she'll wait till you die before she grinds the rest of you up. Don't go after people's fucking kids. And now I will say this. When a particular person went after Steven's family, went after John, fucking obliterated that person as well. You don't go after people's families. I know where Steven lives. I have a couple of phone numbers that are probably his. I would never call that shit. If he wants to talk to me, he can call me on Discord. Steven has my number. He needs to talk to me. He has my number from something. He can call me. No problem. Intrepid decided to say Steven agreed to do an interview with me in November, dodged me because Margaret didn't want him to do the interview. And then, if you're not aware of this, November, December, January, February. No, a member of the community. A member of the community decided to dox me and then threatened me and sent me a picture of my house and my daughter's school. And that's why I was gone. I didn't make any content for 10 weeks because we had to deal with that bullshit. That's what we were off dealing with. When I say the Ashes of Creation community is fucked up, yeah, unfortunately Twitch grabbed that one, but I agree with you. So you're mad that I was supposed to do an interview in November of 21, I think, maybe. November became December, December became January, January became we were going to be on this group panel. And then, no, we're not going to let you on it because we don't like the toxic vitriol that you spew. Oh. Hey, by the way, if you're going to kick me off the panel, are you aware that Smurg buys all of his viewers? They knew. Intrepid knew. Intrepid knew that Smurg was view-botting. And they still supported him and did an interview with him. That should let you know everything you need to know about their inability to market. So, yeah. Whatever happened to that dude, he got fucking deleted off of Twitch. Twitch kicked his ass off Twitch so hard, you can't even find any record he ever existed. They chiseled his name off of the stone fucking tablets. I was told, I'm reporting what I've been told, is that he's being sued by at least one of the sponsors that he fraudulently claimed money from. Those book icons or quests. Oh, thank you for that. So, I used to love this game. There was a point in time that I knew everything there was to know about this game because I needed something in life. Because it was like, what do I do every day? What'd Steven say? What's in this? Let's research that. Is it good? No. If you want an honest answer, no, this isn't good. It's not good at all. And I have said from the very beginning, and you can go back to all of my Ashes, you need to have a player acquisition funnel. You need to have a player acquisition funnel. You need to focus on player retention. You need to focus on player reacquisition. I'm the only person that you trust to get info from. Everyone else, White Knight's too hard. Yeah. I have yet to play, but I've kept up for years. I've been extremely hopeful, but I've seen there's a lot of bad politics going on. Streamers being openly blackballed. Streamers being, everyone's screaming up broken promises. And the Reddit community is a living opposition. Here's the problem with the Reddit. Intrepid Studios runs their own Reddit. They also have their own forums. So where are you supposed to go? Where are you supposed to go when you have critical feedback about the game? Where are you supposed to go to talk? Go to any Reddit post and watch how they do nothing. They do absolutely nothing. If somebody comes in with a legitimate concern, and then the whole community dogpiles on them. Rules for thee, but not for me. They have a moderator who's so fucking dumb. He changed the Reddit rules based on a statistical analysis. When I asked for said statistical analysis, I was told I couldn't have it. So after I did the statistical analysis and proved that their moderator was full of shit, I said, here's my analysis. Now that I've done one, let me see yours. I don't have to show it to you. So I've literally showed you you're a dumb fuck making up shit. They have Roshan, they have Vaknar, they have Margaret, they have another community manager, they have a person at their company that has a degree in marketing. Why do you have a degree in marketing? Why'd you hire somebody with a degree in marketing if, oh, I don't know, what was your statement? We don't do any marketing. Roshan was picking on, I haven't talked on that Discord in 2 years. Roshan was picking on Karthos, mocking him about how Karthos doesn't understand marketing. Okay, so I saw it and I jumped in. And anybody who knows me knows I retired at 19 from a marketing job because I made so much money. And then tragedy hit my family and it wiped out my savings. Thanks, cancer. But I know more about marketing than Roshan does. And in the middle of a discussion when I was bitch slapping him all around, he just stopped talking. Because he knows they're full of shit. Marketing is every bit of contact you have with the public. Your monthly newsletter, your monthly stream, your daily tweet that you have a bot. But Margaret will tell you that they plan their tweets out 6 months in advance. I don't seem that nice. I'm not that nice. I'm not. I will be the first person to tell you I am not nice. I am fair. I am fair. I will give you both sides to every story because I'm not leaning left. I don't lean right. I will give you the truth behind every story because I have no reason. I have no incentive to lie. Intrepid Studios from the referral program owes me a big fat check. I want their game to launch. I want their game to come out. If their game doesn't launch, I never get my referral money. I can't fund more PGN music. I want their fucking game to launch. I want their game to launch. I want them to make a bunch of fucking money. And then I want them to pay me. And then I don't give a shit what happens to their game. I checked out the game because I would. I said I would. As it is right now, I would not recommend anybody give them any more money for the game. Let them self-fund it. Let them fund themselves out of this problem. Or let them come out and say that they bullshitted how many Alpha 2 backers they really had, and they don't have enough Alpha 2 backers. Because they had 15,000 people with Alpha 1 access, and 100,000 people with Alpha 2 access, but they can't get more than 200 people onto the PTR for the dynamic gridding test? Why is that? Why can't you get more than 200 people? So either you don't have that many people, or if 99.8% of the people are telling you your game is dog shit, maybe your game is dog shit. Or wait for ArcH2. Oh, hey, speaking of ArcH2, I want to let you guys know that, like Happy Gilmore, someone learned how to putt. So I'm gonna fucking brag for a second, because this shit took me for fucking ever to figure out. I want to let you guys know that ArcH 101 is up and functional, and it's not dog shit. It's not amazing. I'm not saying this is amazing, but what I will say is the website's up and running again, and it's really nice because someone learned JSON files. Here's ArcH 101. Here's ArcH Chronicles. Will it be good? The rise and fall. Oh, I've already got the layout for guides. We're going to get to ArcH Chronicles. So if you're not familiar with ArcH and you want to find out about ArcH Chronicles, you can check that out. And I even did y'all a favor. I don't make you go to my main website to get your ArcH fix. See, I'm a nice creator. I don't try to drive you to a place. Am I going to be doing YouTube videos covering the game? Oh, yeah, fuck yeah. As it is right now, man, fuck yeah. If ArcH comes out, I will definitely go back to doing ArcH 101. Okay, where were we? Storeway crawlers, defeat the broodlings along the coast. Hunt ravens. Refreshes in -1 minute, -51 seconds. I don't think you should have a refreshes in a negative anything. The number at the top is the I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Recommended class level? I don't give a fuck. I'll go die. I don't care. Okay, so is there another quest here? There's 2 book icons here. Is there another quest? Or is that the that's got to be the icon for the box, and that's the icon for the board. I think Ashes is not looking amazing at the moment, but we've come a long way since the beginning of Alpha. Feels good to see people online. No, you haven't. You think Alpha 2 is better than Alpha 1? I don't. Alpha 1 was a way better design than Alpha 2. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry, but they went the wrong fucking direction. Alpha 1 was good. There was a ton of stuff in the game in Alpha 1. There was a ton of stuff. There was a whole vertical slice. And it had quests. Like, I get what you're saying. It was a small vertical slice, but the design idea from Alpha 1 was better than now. What I will say is I haven't seen anything that's terrible server performance. So I tried to tell people not to give me feedback on like server performance stuff before I got a chance to play. It seems like they don't have any direction. There's huge drama at the moment about mob drops. At the start of phase 3, mobs dropped almost no gear, crafting was good. Then people complain, now mobs drop a bunch of really good gear and crafting is useless. They did a full 180 within a week without having finished testing the initial idea. Holy shit, you mean the same problem they had in the last phase, and the phase before that, and the entire thing before that? If you're going to build your game around crafting from the earliest part, then you can't have your crafting system so fucking convoluted that nobody can make anything. And this is where another game just had this problem. Chrono Odyssey just had this problem. In Chrono Odyssey, the problem was for me, I played. The fuck did I play? The longbow, crossbow, double handbow character. Well, the problem was everybody else can make their weapon easily. And I think I needed iron. Forgive me, I don't have Chrono Odyssey notes in front of me. Yeah, assassin. And the problem was everybody else could make their weapons with easy to get stuff. And the assassin longbow needed iron. Both the bows needed iron. And so the feedback was, hey guys, the crafting recipes, and they immediately turned around and they said, you know what, you're absolutely right. If everybody else can make your level 5 weapon leaving the first town before you go out, everybody should be able to. We'll adjust the recipe. Yeah, there's no... Thank you. I'll... Right there. We had our years of mob grinder games, and we were accepting of mob grinder games back in the late 90s, the early 2000s, because we accepted that... And I don't know the actual numbers, so just forgive me. But say it takes 5,000 man-hours to make 1 hour worth of content. And so 5,000 man-hours is the artist, the animator, the quest writer, the dialogue writer, the economy person who decides what the rewards should be. 5,000 man-hours of this one quest. Well, you're never going to develop more content than the players can consume. I'll get you 1 second, Robin. So there has to be a little bit of grind. So for example, we make a quest and we have to kill on average 50 mobs to get 20 drops. That's deliberate. That's deliberately in there to cost you time. And that's okay, because you want to spread the grind out so that you're always spreading out each piece of content a little with some killer. Or if you don't like RNG and your players don't like RNG, then make it so that you have to kill 50 mobs to get 50 drops. And that way you create a little, how much XP are they going to get from 50 of these mobs? Where are we at? Where do we want them to be? When do we want to leave this quest hub? That's called mapping it out, and you have a plan. Everybody that I've talked to have said it's the same thing as it was in the last phase. It is literally the fastest way to level is to grind, but then you grind and then you get to a later level, and what was the point? Because there's nothing to do. You have to have the full vertical slice, and at this point in the game, and this is where when people say, you're being too harsh, you're being too critical, the game is going to come. How do you know that? Yeah, the new zone, it's not flushed out, so it feels empty as fuck, so why are you testing it? After phase 1 and phase 2 being unpolished, I quit a few months. Do you consider the improvements in phase 3 to be enough to install the game again? No. No, I don't. I absolutely do not. I'm checking it out today because I have a lot of people that said, would you check it out? And this way I check it out once, and then it saves the video. That is a good question. In the other direction, what is going well? What is going well? Honestly, nothing. Nothing that they didn't already have going well in previous phases. Yeah, it's the same or worse. There is no what improvements were there. I guess if I'm gonna be feet to the fire, gun to my head, I gotta give some. They have Barden, they have Rogan. The environment doesn't look dude, the environment looks better. Wait, no. Let me put the game back on graphics. Let me put it. If I had been on this, you might have been able to say the environment looked better. I was stuck on medium graphics because they don't have lumen right inside the castle. I like the graphics in the game and the mount models and the design, but I'm not going to play the game if it's bad. Exactly. The game has to play good first. After the game plays good, you do another pass and you do the other things. And then you do another pass and you do the other things. But the game has got to play good first. Absolutely. And I've said it for years and years and years. If you build, are the tree leaves static? Yeah, it doesn't look like the environment has, and there might not be wind right now. I don't know if any of the castles are visitable, able to be visited right now. I just don't have an answer to that. I've always said this. If you build a compelling game, if you build a compelling game, and it has good systems, good mechanics, good lore, good rewards, good fights, people will forgive that it's tab combat. But if you build a game and you have exquisite castle sieges and the best ever crafting system and the best ever gathering and the best cinematics, but you have shitty action combat, what the action players will say about your game is that it's a shitty action combat game. Yeah, the quests still don't work. I won't forgive tab target. Okay. Here's the thing. Fucking bet. You tell me, fucking bet. You tell me a fucking brand new MMORPG comes out with 10 million players, and that's where everybody is playing, and it has amazing castle sieges, and amazing this and amazing that, and everybody's raving about it. You'll go play it. You'll go play it. I'm sorry, I don't believe anybody when they say I won't play a tab target game if it does all these other things at a 10, you'll forgive that it's tab. You absolutely will. You'll forgive that it's tab. Good tab over bad action. Yes. Now, decent tab over good action? No. Not for your action players. Not for your action players. The thing about action combat is action combat players try to make it seem like I'll only play the game if it's action. But you know damn well. Steven said they want the players to feel as if the combat system is an extension of their hands, where it feels natural and responsive. But the combat isn't that good at this point. I don't see a future where they can deliver that promise. Yeah, thanks to the viewer who told me about the auto attack. I would have never thought to go look for the auto attack. Why auto attack isn't on by default, I don't know. But I said years and years and years ago, there's multiple YouTube videos where I talk about action versus tag. What's up, Sneckers? There's multiple videos where I talk about action versus tab. If you don't give an advantage to manual aiming, competitive players won't manually aim. And if you do give an advantage to manual aiming, your bottom performing tab players won't play. I am not an expert. And maybe that's a good thing that I'm not an expert, because it means I don't know what I don't know, so I can only ask questions. How does evasion possibly work in a game? In a game that has tab targeting, if evasion isn't a waterfall stat. Now, I saw the Guild Wars 2 thing, and I will jump on that. How do you play a game with an evasion stat if the tab player doesn't have to manually aim and the action player does? So the action player can miss and not hit, where the tab aimer can never miss and can only not hit. See, if I go into action and I don't have my crosshair right on that guy's head, if I'm over here, then what I've done is I've missed. And so their waterfall stats never come into effect. If I come over here and I hit them, if their evasion stat still rolls, it means I've been double penalized as an action aimer. And I'm adamantly against this, and I hate action combat. I hate action combat. But I will say one word. Raptor shit. Disappointing. Lackluster. Ho-hum. Overhyped. Ooh, look at those dodge skills. Arc H2 combat looks sick as fuck. Yeah, and so here's the problem. Intrepid Studios has spent an awful lot of time trying to build a hybrid combat system. And there's 2 games coming out from a studio. Well, there's a game coming out from a studio that has infinitely better developers than Intrepid has. And I'm sure somebody at Intrepid is going to get their fucking, they're going to go to Steven with the Deadpool doll and say, "This is where Jay hurt me." Look, man, I'm sorry. The fucking developers on ArcAge are better developers than the developers on Ashes of Creation. How do I know this? Because the majority of them have multiple shipped products from start to finish. Not all the products are good. I'm not saying all the products are good, but they've worked multiple products. I know a lot of people will be like, "Oh, well, you're being too critical of the Ashes of Creation team. A lot of them worked at..." Yeah, what were their jobs? Yeah, they worked on PlanetSide 2. They worked on EverQuest. What were their jobs when they were there? Were they the leads? Were they Big Daddy? No, they weren't Big Daddy. They came to Intrepid so that they could enhance their resume. What they really did is they went to Intrepid to enhance their wallet, which I don't blame the people for that. But we got to stop being like, "Oh, well, because they have this plethora of experience." Most of them weren't movers and shakers on those projects. And that's okay, because I'm not saying you have to be Ash, man. You have to be 10 years old with 20 years experience as a Pokemon trainer. I'm not saying that in the slightest. But I am saying that when you say, "Oh, well, this game is going to be great because it's the team behind PlanetSide 2 and EverQuest 2, and yeah, but they were on the team, but they weren't the people making it happen." Ashes is being worked on. What do you mean? Hold on. What do you mean at least Ash is being worked on? I don't know about any other MMO that might ever release. Chrono Odyssey had a open beta in the middle of the summer, and Chrono Studios and Cacao Games turned around and they said, based on the plethora of feedback and how you guys are unhappy, we're canceling the 2025 launch. We're taking that game and we are literally going to do a complete pass because you guys aren't happy with it. ArcAge Chronicles is going into testing in Korea this year, and it will go into more worldwide testing in the spring. EverQuest 3 is started development this year, and they have an absolute pipeline to have the game launched in year 2028. Ghostcrawler is working on it. Mike Morhaim's studio is working on something. Riot's MMO went back to square one. Microsoft acquired ZeniMax and Activision Blizzard to work on something. So, what do you mean it's the only MMO that's being worked on? Ragnarok Online 3 is coming, although it's popular in Asia. Yeah, that is true. Wolfgar, the Black Desert thing. I don't have the latest update on the quote Black Desert thing. You dipped on Ashes, so did I, unfortunately. I dipped on Ashes a long time ago. I'm back today because a couple of members of my community said, hey, you said that you would showcase it. And this way I have the video. But Crimson Desert, not Crimson Desert. There was another one. Oh, Crimson Desert. Thank you, Axie. You're up there. I need to figure out a way to bring that. Hold on. You know, Twitch, it would be really nice, Twitch, if I could put everybody's consolidated chat on one screen, Twitch, but I'm a good boy. I don't have any chats from any others. We want the Ashes Rue while wearing the top hat. Unfortunately, my office is currently like 900 degrees because it's a shit hot day here in Southern Illinois, and I have 2 computers running, so I'm sorry I'm not wearing a top hat right now. I apologize immensely. It is just too hot. I will probably vomit and die. And here's the problem, right? I know full well that Intrepid Studios will disregard any feedback I've given. And they'll disregard any feedback I've given because, 1, I'm crass. 2, they view the way I give my feedback as toxic vitriol. They can feel free to do that. I have no reason to kiss their ass or suck them off. Absolutely none. I don't care if you don't like how I give my feedback. You can either like my feedback or not like my feedback. If you don't like my feedback, that's cool. If you want my feedback, great. Maybe next time a person has been saying stuff to you for multiple years, you won't disregard them because he's not popular. ArcAge 2 is not even an MMO anymore. And what? It's a multiplayer online game focusing on the single player experience that also has 20-man combat and it has PvP. It has 20-man content and PvP. I get it. They've said it's not an MMO in the traditional sense. Name me the MMOs anymore that have good 40-man content. They said it's not an MMO because they want people to understand it's not like ArcAge 1. What's wrong with a game that focuses on the single player experience? Final Fantasy XIV, you can do almost all of the content by yourself, including the team stuff, with a trust. So I got you, right? I got you. At the same time, if we have the single player experience, we have multiple player content, we have optional PvP. What else do you need in a game for it to check the Oh yeah, it's an MMO now. It's an MMORPG. It's not like it's a single player game. What's wrong is that you can't compare two different things. Actually, you can. I don't think I'm the guy that you want to fuck with this, because you can compare any two things. I can compare an apple to a baby. I don't know where you get the idea you can't compare two different things. You can't compare two identical things because they're identical. There's no compare and contrast. I can compare a single player game to an MMORPG. I don't know where you would even remotely feasibly get the idea you can't compare. Is it that compare is similar and contrast is opposite? Because you can do that too. It's an online multiplayer game. It's just not massive. It's an MMORPG. You could make the argument that New World isn't an MMORPG, couldn't you? Because New World is capped at 2,500 people per server. Where is the numeric, what's the numerical number before we say a game is massive? So if you want to throw down, let's throw down. What's your number for what makes an MMORPG? Because then again, Final Fantasy isn't an MMORPG because there's no... I think now they have content coming out that's larger than 24-man content. But I would argue if you only have up to 24-man content, is that an MMORPG? If I do the majority of the content in 4-person parties and 8-person parties, is that a massive multiplayer online role-playing game? On what basis? System, character development, time to develop, money needed to make an MMO compared to a single-player game. Any and all of them. Which would you like? Because you're saying Arc H2 isn't an MMO. Systems, character development, okay. Arc Age 1 is an MMORPG, right? What systems does Arc Age 1 have where you can definitively say MMORPG, and then when you look at Arc Age 2, say, nah, you missed it. So which system? Let's just go systems. Which system of Arc Age? Yes, MMORPG. Arc Age 2. Nope, only MMORPG. See, now I gotta wait. I'd argue that WoW isn't an MMORPG anymore. They make layers that tops out at 100 people. Well, that brings up a good point. If 100 people does not an MMORPG make, or if 100 people in a layer makes an MMORPG, first of all, have you played Arc Age 2 to make a full comparison? It's only speculation. Wow. Way to not have a fucking argument. Way to literally say you can't make the argument, I make the argument, and now you can't make it. You're the one who said you're not comparing. I can compare them. You could tell me what system is in Arc Age 1 that Arc Age 2 would have to be an MMORPG. So which system in Arc Age 1? What system from Arc Age 1 has to be present in Arc Age 2? What systems need to be present to make a game an MMORPG? It's like you literally know you're going to lose this argument, and now you're like, oh, well, you can't make fine. You tell me what features have to be present. Yeah, there you go. I'm not the only person that's telling you how much you just played yourself. But systems. For me, large scale PvP. Okay, I'll bite. Define large scale. Let's get quantitative. What does large scale mean? Because we need a number for large scale. At least 50 versus 50. Arcade Chronicles probably has that. I don't know if it's 50 versus 50 to hit your exact number, but I do know that they have personal trade runs, group trade runs, and guild level trade runs. And I would imagine if they have 20-man content and they have PvP optional that doesn't dictate the entire game. Most AoE enthusiasts are Arcade Orphean looking for player-driven dynamic world. I don't disagree with you. Player-driven dynamic world. But if we say player-driven dynamic world, without quantifying that anymore, isn't 7 Days to Die, work with me, isn't 7 Days to Die a player-driven dynamic world? Because the players can shape the world however they want. Well, within reason. No, man, I only said the company said it's not an MMO. Actually, you didn't say the company said that. It amazes me. This is what amazes me about people. It always does. This is what people don't like to be held accountable to what they said. And then you literally are dodging the question. Shit, I'm being attacked. This is what amazes me, right? Because that's what you said. That's exactly what you said. You never said, I only said the company said it's not an MMO. You said ArcH2 is not even an MMO anymore. What are you talking about? How can I refer to a system in the game not out? No. Take this shit out of your ears because you wanted to get all fucking aggressive and nasty. So take the shit out your ears and try answering the question. What system from ArcH 1, which is launched and sunset, would have to be present in an MMO for the game to be called an MMORPG instead of a multiplayer online role-playing game? I think what you're going to find is you're literally arguing out your ass. You tried to list all these things, and I'm fucking guns loaded, man. You can pick the topic. You said systems. You've now responded twice and not mentioned any systems, but QT has jumped in and given a system, and he says, I personally just want large-scale PvP. And I said, quantify large scale. And QT said 50 versus 50. That's a quantifiable feature that a game has to have. So for QT, if ArcH 2 does not have 50 versus 50, QT Funky Fox won't say, QT will say, in my opinion, ArcH 2, ArcH Chronicles is not an MMORPG because it doesn't have 50 versus 50 combat. It only has 20 versus 20. I don't like the fact that it only has 20 versus 20. That's too small for me. And then, is it a persistent world? If somebody yes, it is. If somebody runs it on their server, if somebody leaves the server running up all the time, then 7 Days to Die will remain persistent. You just log in and out of it. You don't remain in the world persistently when you log out. So the problem is if you're going to come in and you want to be like systems, what else did you throw down? You said systems, character development, time to develop, money needed to make an MMO compared to a single player game. Okay, ready? Here's why you don't want to turn around and say money needed to make a single player game. Isn't Final Fantasy VII, the remake, chewing up fucking infinitely more money for Square Enix than Bless Online, which everybody would say was an MMORPG, than Elyon, which everybody would say is an MMORPG? Nobody debated that Bless or Elyon were MMORPGs. Were they shitty? Yes. Were they good? No. But Final Fantasy VII's remake has chewed up more money than those two games. So if you want, I don't mind if you want to come in, but don't come in, act like a hard ass with the what are you talking about, and then say, well, I didn't say. You realize that you're defending a non-existent game. Okay, you realize that you cannot name a feature from a game. Now you realize, no, it's not mental. You literally run your mouth. It doesn't matter if I play it, because I'm not saying it's good. I don't have to play it to know I have to play it to know if it's good. I don't have to play it to know whatever systems you say. So why is it that you have no integrity? Why is it people like you have zero integrity? You made a statement. Now defend it. Or just say, I'm a chicken shit. I wanted to pick a fight, and I didn't realize that the person I was picking the fight with is going to bitch slap me because he studies MMOs. And I've had this conversation tens of thousands of times. Either you want to man or girl up and put on your big boy pants and your jock strap, or you want to put on your big girl panties, or fucking go commando for all I care, but step up to the mic and you gave me a list. I don't understand why people come out swinging and then when they get hit back, they freak out and say, why are you so aggressive? Yeah, if you had come in and said, man, I'm confused because the developer said it's not an MMO RPG. The developer said it's a single player. I would have said, cool, you're right, it is. This is what the developer said. But these are the features the game is going to have. It's not a single player game. It focuses on the single player story development, but it has guild content. It has group content. It has 20-man world bosses. It has PvP. It has single player caravans, it has multiple player caravans, it has guild level caravans. And then I'd say, which features does a game need? But it's funny because I've asked you now the same question and I'll ask it again. And if you say anything other than an answer, you just won't be here. What systems does a MMORPG have to have in order to earn the red stamp on the forehead of MMORPG? You said systems. You said money. I've already disproved money. Time to make. I've already disproved that. Games can be done in a short period of time and be MMORPGs. Games can take a long time and be single player games. Those things are irrelevant. So what systems does an MMORPG have to have? Because I don't even think you're smart enough to know what the acronym means. So let me help you out so you don't have to chat GPT it. Massive. Oh, then you're just chasing ghosts. No. I'm not chasing ghosts. So even talking about with you has no point. You have no point. You're a fucking mush mouth and a mush brain. Because I've asked you multiple times to name systems. Why can't you do that? Are you too fucking dumb to name systems from a game? What part of name systems that an MMORPG has to have? Because you don't want to do it, because you're afraid as soon as you name a system, I'm going to be able to name an accepted MMORPG that doesn't have your system. So honestly, fuck you very much. You are the content that my viewers like, because they like when dumb fucks. Hey, Intrepid, whichever one of your staff members is here, please type up the report to Margaret that I used the word dumb fucks again. By the way, since you're typing, Vacnar is still a meat puppet with a hand up his ass working his mouth like a puppet. If you want to come in and you want to start a conversation, then have some systems. You said character development. What features of character development must an MMORPG have? See, I don't deal with bullshit people. I'm not even mad. I'm mad at whatever fucking school you went to and they failed you. I'm mad that mom and dad didn't beat the shit out of you with a dictionary. Teach you some manners at the same time. I didn't say. No, I didn't fucking say. No, you didn't fucking say. That's what you said. You communicate in text. Shit. I got 4 bots in here logging what people say because I'm tired of fucking mushmouth saying, I never said that. Fuck. This fucking person can't even come in here and tell me systems. Should I play Arcade 1 before 2? No real need. Oh, actually, yes. If you've never played Arcade 1, I would definitely go to one of the private servers, which are perfectly legal now because Kakao Games has abandoned the intellectual property. Go to one of the private servers and just run the quest line. You're going to want to know certain people like Morpheus, Rangora, Nui. You're going to want to know the Harani. You're going to want to know the Nuians. You're going to want to know the Inquisitor, which is old Chibi J's black armor, the icon I used to use. You're going to want to know who the Inquisitors are. which I don't think they actually bring up in Arcade 1. You're going to want to know why the Harani and the Nuians look alike, even though they're on different continents. And the first game does get into that. I must have hurt his feelings. I must have hurt their feelings. They left. I can't use there. I have to use it. Sorry, I want to say to you guys, I understand. I told you I had to go to the bookstore this morning because I had to look for one particular book. I have found the way, I believe I have found the solution about why certain people don't want to use they, them for singular people. It's been I said to people a while ago that I would research it. It's because people that were educated in America from 1960 to 1990 at Catholic schools, our English-based curriculum was still Archdiocese approved, and the Archdiocese still received their approval based on Latin. And if you study Latin, they, them is an inappropriate. Now, some people will say, well, what about Shakespeare? Absolutely. I've got a first edition of Shakespeare's collected works. I've never said that Shakespeare didn't use they for plural, but I said English, and it's a Latin thing. The Archdiocese of Chicago, specifically, where I went, they were still teaching English based off of the Latin of it, and they had never updated, which is why for a Catholic who was educated from 1950 to about 1990, they were going to say, I can't use they, them for a singular person, and other people will argue you can. Because public schools adopted Chicago style at the late 70s, early 80s. So the people that are of about my age range, that's what I was off doing today. Yes, I was off doing big nerd shit, but I was chasing down something that had been bothering me. And I was like, why is that? And now I finally found my answer. It actually wasn't even based on... Something else got my attention, and then I went to look at 2 copies of Plato's Republic. Because you've got Plato's Republic, and you've got the Republic of Plato, because of how Greek is translated. Greek doesn't translate possessives with an apostrophe S. It's Republic of Plato, because it's his. That's how they indicate ownership. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, Wolfagar, I think it was you. I think it was you and I. I think it was you and I that started. My notes are not in front of me right now. I think it was you and I because I originally was digging through French to see if, for some reason, French was an influence and if there was a linguistic there. Latin scholar here, I can attest. Yeah, and Latin doesn't have, like, Latin is the same way. It's the way Latin does possessives. So, how they do pronouns, how they do possessives. So now it makes sense. So now all I can say to my fellow Catholics is, it's okay to call transgenders they, them, because the church has adapted. The church has adapted Chicago citation style. Chicago isn't the location, it's the type. It's just like APA, MLA. They all have adopted singular reference or plural reference for they, them. Which, like I said, Shakespeare had. So that's where I was this morning. Apparently, I ran off the other guy. By the way, since you had a little rant about MMOs, what would be an acceptable definition for the massive part? I've always felt that it was a marketing term to differentiate the game from instant space. That, my friend, is hitting the fucking nail on the head. Absolutely. What's the difference between an MMORPG and an MORPG versus an MOFPS versus an MOBA? And that is an absolute spot on question. And I think where you're getting to is that we need to stop worrying about MMORPG versus single player versus this. And what we need to focus on is persistent world versus non-persistent world. I think that is where the meat is. Is Fortnite an MMORPG? No. Because it's a 100-person capped battle. Is a online battle arena lessened because there's only 5 versus 5? Well, what if there's a million? I don't know how many people are playing League of Legends right now. I just know that at one point they had like 1 million people playing. Well, if 1 million people are playing a game, does that make it a massive multiplayer online battle arena? Or does the fact that 10 versus 10, no, I meant simultaneously, 5 versus 5. I think you're absolutely right. Yeah. Is Diablo 4 an MMORPG? It has open world. It has bosses. It's persistent. And a lot of people play it. But as the other person who wouldn't fucking step up, what is the defining characteristic that makes me... Diablo 4 may be a cash grab, and I will say this as a lifelong fan of the IP. I hate Diablo 4. I love it for dark horror. I think it's a great story. I hate the fact that it was basically a bunch of fucking new people at Blizzard that decided to piss on the IP. I think as a standalone game, it would have been okay. I think as a sequel to Diablo, it was god awful. I think as a singleton, it's an okay playable game, but I think it's the Final Fantasy 15 of the Diablo franchise. Yes, I get it. You are, in fact, a Diablo game because you have Diablo in your title. But I think that Diablo 4 could have been equally successful if they had just not made it the Diablo franchise. I think they could have taken that game and they could have made it part of the not part of the Diablo franchise, and it would have been great. I think Final Fantasy 15 would have been a great game. Just don't slap Final Fantasy's name on it. Don't cheapen the brand. Did I ever get into PoE? Like Diablo Immortal? Yes, exactly like Diablo Immortal. 100 tit for tat. Is Helldivers an MMORPG? It has a story, it has quests, it has a persistent world. See, that's now where I think the term MMORPG is antiquated. And we have to acknowledge that the term is antiquated. Helldivers has a persistent world. A massive amount of people play it. No, it's not a lobby shooter. It's not a lobby shooter because it has a persistent world. This is Ashes. Helldivers has a persistent world, which makes it not a lobby shooter. Because if I played Helldivers at launch, and then I came back to it months later, there's been progression in the world. So it has that persistent world stink on it. Does it make it an MMORPG? Does it make it a persistent world video game? How many people are on a map at a time? Is it less than 100? Well, if it's less than 100, do we allow it to call it massive? Your ship is the lobby from which you enter the maps, disappears, resets when you leave. Right. But the world is persistent, is it not? Do my actions not impact the world in Helldivers? Was there not just a big thing with the developers where the whole world was logging in to defend Shanghai? I think maybe. Help me out with some details. Please give me the link to the Intrepid Lying video. Which one? The The Steven one, it's not, that particular video is not loaded anywhere. The one I showed earlier, if you want the other ones, it's on my YouTube and they're my interviews. But if you're talking about the Nodes Part 3 one, I've never loaded that anywhere. There are plenty of MMOs that your actions don't affect the world. Absolutely. Absolutely. There are MMOs where your actions don't affect the world. Final Fantasy 11, Final Fantasy 14, World of Warcraft, but I don't want to speak out of turn, so WoW players, if you guys now do impact the world, don't let me lie. Even ArcAge, your actions in ArcAge, only was there very mild impact to the world by an ArcAge player. Only really minor. Only really minor impacts in ArcAge. Like I could build a trade pack house which would impact the trade house when it shit out the better packs that you took across the ocean. Forgive me, I should know the cargo. I forgot what that special was called. Honest to God, I would pay so much. Bro, never talk about ArcAge, you're a pug. Go fuck yourself. Here, let me help you, you little bitch. I ran a guild. I was a hero about 14 months in a row. I was one of the best geared clerics, and if you were from Pokemon, it took 15 of those bitches over a minute to kill me. So what is me being in a pickup group running go CR? I did run CR. And I used to go to CR and I used to beat the shit out of guilds that came there. Don't talk shit if you're gonna be a Muppet, because I can link fucking videos that it took entire guilds more than a minute to kill me. Cleric laughing my fucking ass off. And what? Oh, let me guess. You played 2-button Dark Runner? Of course I ran CR. Of course I did. What, am I not gonna pick up my honor for the day? What'd you play? 2-button Dark Runner? Or were you mad that I played Cleric and I taught all the clerics to swap to 5100 toughness so they could soak even a max geared Dark Runner? Is that what you're mad about? Oh, and let's not forget that I was in the world first of most things guild for a long time. Or did we forget that? Oh, shit. Anything else? Anything else out of you? Because I have a feeling that your longevity is about 40 seconds from this moment. Oh shit, man. He managed to go 11 seconds. That's fucking goddamn impressive. By the way, if anybody's gonna run around and say I censored you on my show, I'm not the fucking government. I don't censor you. I just ban you. I at least was willing to let the other dumb fuck defend his position. Oh, you're a fucking pug. You're the motherfucker. I'm the only person to ever host the fucking Try on Worlds live stream 3 times. Clearly, I fucking knew something about ArcAge. Let me see. Where are the players? It feels like an Unreal Simulator map so big you won't interfere with player. Well, remember, I'm 5 days, I think, late starting on this build. So, because I needed, like, I do stuff every day. And this wasn't at the top of my important list. And honestly, how can I say this? If they would, I want to be professional here when I say this, because I want this to be a useful piece of feedback. If they would, hey, I'm going to ask you to not clip that, because what I'm going to tell you is, and I don't want to be a dick, don't clip that video, because I don't want that video spread. That's a clip I use when I want to show an instance of Intrepid lying. I specifically have not made that video available anywhere else because it cheapens it if you play it everywhere and the person who plays it can't articulate both sides of it. If you use something like that, if you use something like that and you don't treat it the way it needs to be treated, it cheapens it. I would rather make Intrepid see it often and then eventually have to come address it with me, but they won't. So then I can use it over and over and over again and say, well, and if, you know what? Actually, I changed my fucking mind. Maybe I will make that available because then the only person they can address it with is me. This looks like something I do in Unreal Engine 5 playing around with ground textures and brushes. Right, and this is where I say, people are like, Ashes of Creation looks so beautiful. What about this looks beautiful? Chrono Odyssey looked better. And if you haven't seen Chrono Odyssey, shut up, Narc. I was Narc before Narc was Narc. What the fuck, do people forget? Oh my God, looks so good. I know, right? Oh my God, looks so good. Looks like literally, if you download Unreal Engine and you download the free assets, you too can build this on your home computer in about an hour. This is Steven's vision. And what? Looks like Valheim. Yeah. Was Valheim made in Unreal Engine? You called Narc Chalon 2.0. And here's the thing, man. Narc probably would have had a lot more successful of a content creation career if he had picked one side or the other. But Narc nuked his entire YouTube channel. Narc, to my knowledge, Narc exploded. He did. You're absolutely right. He did. And I said many times, Narc was doing amazing things. Narc knew how to make people laugh. Narc, tonight's article that I'm writing for this weekend for content creation for the people that I help is the 2 E's of content creation. You can be entertaining. Oh, he has a different channel. Okay, cool. See, I didn't know that. So that's good. Here's the thing. I have no problem with him other than he kept stealing my shit and not giving credit for it. And he's the type of creator who only cares about himself, not the aggregate. Because remember, the rising tide lifts all boats. But he is amazing at being entertaining. And I've never knocked his ability to be entertaining. He is he's funny as shit to people that like his type of humor. But the one thing I gave him feedback for once was just put up on your videos when you're editorializing, when you're speculating, and when you're news reporting. And I said to him, if you do this one thing, you will win all the masses. And I knew the writing was on the wall. If he put, why am I pissed? The game looks good. No, it doesn't. I'm in an unfinished zone. I can't be in an unfinished zone because it's available. If it was unfinished in an alpha, it shouldn't be available. Also, if you notice, I'm standing right where they sent me. So, and I look like I got back pain waking up in the morning. No, not at all. Neck pain, yeah. Like this right here. This has been a problem they've had in all of their builds. It should be No, you can disagree with it all you want, man. You should not. I'm ugly as shit. Your mom and your sister like me. The problem here is, Sneckers, you're a developer, so you have a bias on this. If it's an unfinished area, you shouldn't be sending it me. You shouldn't be sending me to it. The moment that you send a player to it, you've deemed it worthy to be experienced. You can agree to disagree, but the moment you send me to the area, you wanted me to go to the area. You'll also notice, hunt ravens in the high mountains. I don't know if ravens... No, I'm sorry, you can play word games. If you want them to test it, they have to experience it. Or, really simple. Really, really simple. If you don't want people to have an opinion on it, then what you do right here is underneath hunt ravens in the anvils, return, and in text, please be advised this area isn't finished. Please be advised this area isn't finished. Because then all you want me to test is what you want me to test. However, I haven't seen one mob with the name, oh, there's a raven. Cool, perfect. So it's there. So good. There is a difference between hawks and ravens. So we don't have the same problem we had in the cave where you're telling me to find one mob and it's actually a different mob. Now, do you drop the thing I need? Oh no, you just have to kill him. Okay, so I gotta find 17 more. I must have hit some nerves. I always do, man. Doesn't the game tell you in its alpha, nothing is finished? Didn't say it was finished. It didn't say the game was finished. Didn't say it was finished. The areas should be finished. If you're sending, or hold on. Or is this the White Knight Brigade coming in because we're gonna mix words then? It's not finished because it's an alpha? Sure. But you'll notice I'm not narc. I didn't go to an area of the desert in the middle of nowhere. I went to an area that they sent me. So I went